Hi, I'm Stunning Stella Cheeks.
And I'm the Enigma Erin Klein.
And this is Not Your Demographic, a feminist wrestling podcast.
Shockingly, those exist.
We're recording.
It's hard, okay? I've been crying all day. It's been a rough day, okay?
It has been a rough day.
It's been a rough couple of days.
If you need an abortion, go get one now.
If you need an IUD, get one now.
If you need any type of, female services, go get them now.
Yeah.
It's not funny. We're laughing because it's weird to start the podcast this way.
Yep. We're recording this on Wednesday. If you don't know what happened on Wednesday in the Supreme Court, we're all fucked, basically.
Oh, on Tuesday, too.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
Anyways, checks and balances are a fallacy.
Yep, absolutely.
Call your senators.
Call your senators. Find a write-in campaign.
And honestly, if you don't vote or plan on voting, stop downloading our podcast.
Yeah. There are some acceptable reasons to not vote. If you've been disenfranchised your whole life as a black voter, I get it if you don't want to vote. But also,
if you're white and you're not voting, please unsubscribe.
Stop listening to this podcast and go register to vote. Damn.
Okay, other than that. Which we're not talking about again.
Nope, because I will definitely start to cry again. So other than that, how are you?
I think that encapsulates it pretty well, actually.
Yep, absolutely.
It's kind of an outtake, but that's manic, essentially. We had a very good friend of ours wedding, Emily Pizzazz, this weekend. It was beautiful and she had a great time. It was a little stressful at times because it was a smaller wedding and there was just a lot of things that we had to do as bridesmaids, which was fine. We did them and the wedding ended up fine and everybody had a really good
They were very happy. That's what mattered.
But for us, there was a couple moments touch and go, but we got through it and everybody had a good time and I only had 9 blisters at the end of the night.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. I did not have a hangover the next morning. I was thinking about it and was we drank a lot during the day, but I had less than 4 drinks from start of wedding till end of night.
I mean, you and I were literally on our knees in our bridesmaids dresses cleaning up other people's spills. So I feel like we worked off any booze we had consumed.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Honestly, a lot of that, as somebody who's run a wedding venue before, I was shocked at how this wedding venue was run. I feel like that's something that Emily really couldn't have known or predicted. Mm-hmm. But having a venue where there was no venue manager or person running things on site was wild.
Yeah. Also,
and led to things that in a different space wouldn't happen, but it was a beautiful space and the pictures are gorgeous. And
it looked like a secret garden. That's what they wanted.
Right,
yeah,
it worked out fine. But I was just this venue is wild.
Yeah, it's
there's no one here to dim the lights. Oh, okay, I'll dim the lights.
Well, we also we talked specifically the day before about when you get alcohol delivered to a wedding, you're supposed to have a licensed vendor there to sign for it, and they just showed up 4 hours early, and we're here's all the booze.
No vendor there or venue manager there to if that had happened at my venue, I'd be you have to literally keep that in your car until somebody else is here off the property. I'm so sorry, I cannot take that. That is illegal. And this in fucking Wisconsin, they're whatever.
Oh, whatever.
So I guess Wisconsin plays fast and loose. But Emily was beautiful, and it was a fun wedding.
Yeah, it was fun.
And then today was my last day at my nanny job.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I feel like I should have cried more. I cried a little bit when I put her into her crib for the last time, and I'm going to miss her, but I'm just so genuinely done with being a nanny. Nanny specifically, not necessarily working with kids, but being a nanny specifically. I worked for 2 really great families, and this is nothing against them, but being an employee in somebody's home is so different than a job.
Oh, yeah.
Not that nannying is easy and not a job, but it's just...
But, you're still leaving your home to go to a job, but you're in a home.
Right. It's very strange, and it's funny that I've done it for such a long time because I don't think that, personality-wise, I'm actually very suited for that because I Not that the families I work for were like this, but I don't deal with like authority well. I don't deal with
don't say.
I don't deal with authority well when there is not a structure to define or give reason to the authority. Mm-hmm. And that is a little confusing in a non-traditional job. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Like,
you're a punk rock teenager.
Right. Well, I mean, I can obviously follow the rules and all that stuff, but it's like, sometimes you need, like, an institution to be like, well, if I break too many rules, then, like, not that I was breaking rules. I don't know how to describe this.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, like...
I wasn't, like, doing anything wrong. It's just, like, weird to be in somebody else's home.
Yeah, you just create your own structures when you're not given structures. Right. And when you're doing that inside of someone else's house, it's like, this is bizarre.
But I will get to see her again, because when I go to New York for SummerSlam, they're moving to New York, so I will get to see her, and, like,
nice.
I'll stay in touch with the families just like I have in the past, but I am grateful to be moving on to that different part of my life that's maybe a little bit fly by the seat of my pants and a little bit scarier, but also, like, I'm somebody who needs freedom during the day, and, like, because I do so much that it's hard to have, like, a full-time job and continue to do so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a miracle that I haven't, like, I don't know, gone actually insane.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You have, like, 6 jobs.
Yeah, I had 7 at one point last year.
Uh-huh. So, I remember.
7 jobs.
Yeah. It's that gig economy, y'all.
7 jobs and no money. Yeah. Stella Chick story.
The American dream.
How are you?
I'm all right. I mean, again, stressed out. After this wedding that we went to this weekend, I had straight up jet lag. I was so exhausted that I, like, basically today, finally, I cried it all out over the Supreme Court, basically. So next time I have jet lag, I need a really upsetting national tragedy to happen, I guess. But
no,
I mean, I don't want that, but to cure my jet lag, it worked really well. Yeah, I was, I think the only time I've ever had worse jet lag was coming back from my honeymoon. It was on par with when we first went there. I was deliriously exhausted for, like, because, like, when I was staying with you guys and then the nights that I was in the hotel room with Michael, I mean, I didn't sleep till, like, 1, 2 in the morning, and then I was getting up at 7 to, like, eat breakfast and go swimming and get wedding shit together, and it fucked me up. It fucked me up really bad. So I'm, like, finally on the other side of that. Also, I'd just like to make an announcement. I don't need to hear from another motherfucking person about Ronda Rousey ever again. Motherfucking ever again. What
did you think was gonna happen?
Listen, I'm a very loud, outspoken person. I talk about all kinds of shit. Like, I'm very political. I talk about abolishing the prison system, like, full period, get rid of the prison system. Like, I have some radical fucking ideas, and I'm pushy and mean about them sometimes. I have never, ever gotten messages like I did about Ronda. Like,
DMs?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, you missed all this? Oh, girl.
Wait.
I tweeted about some of it. We got a bunch of emails. I was on top of it and just deleted and blocked all of these fucking psychos. Like, it was, like, I've dealt with Stan Twitter.
Oh, I didn't see any of this.
Oh my
I saw, like, one, and it was kind of like, it was an opinion that, like, I agreed with the opinion, and they were, like, nice about it, and you were like, that's not how I view it, blah, blah, blah. But they were nice about it, so I was like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah, there were a couple of people who, like, were a little aggressive and, like, oh, man.
There's a difference between, like, passionately arguing your side and being aggressive.
Absolutely.
And there were definitely people that I saw that were doing the former.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
and,
me.
like, yeah, and there
Very
were,
passionate.
and at first it was okay, because it was, like, people who normally listen to the podcast, who we've interacted with before, that's, like, you can understand that I'm being abrasive, and that's cool. Like, those people were fine. It was, like, 48 hours later, once it started to, like, the cage side push came through them, people started finding it through there, like, I mean, we talk about Roman and the Bellas a lot, who also have very hard stan followings. Nothing compared to this. It
was worse than the Lana stans?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Like, the Lana stans are like, how could you think this? How dare you? You're fat and not a journalist. And the Ronda people were like, you're racist and a Trump supporter and
what?
Oh yeah, I got some fucking banana shit.
How are you racist for not liking Ronda Rousey?
Because apparently Austin Aries said a bunch of racist shit, and because we don't hate him in the same way, that means that we're racist. And I was like, you've clearly never listened to this show.
I've gone through it with Austin Aries.
Yeah, and like, I originally had the position of, he's a human trash can, so like, I've come through and gone back out the other side on him.
But also, we've had a lot of conversations about like, you have to learn how to draw your lines, and we don't necessarily like Austin Aries as a person, but personally for me, I am so drawn to him in ring, and I can...
Yeah.
The things that he's done and said are bad, and I don't approve of them, but it is... I am able to separate person and performer when it comes to him. Mm-hmm. There are other people I can't do that with. Like
Absolutely.
Dolph Ziggler, he had a great match this week. I barely paid attention, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, because I can't separate it with him.
Mm-hmm. And people were like, oh, well, He's
no longer my boyfriend.
Yeah, and people...
How dare.
I had people be like,
I have a new boyfriend this week.
I can't wait to
also big and Scottish. Kind of my thing.
Yeah, definitely. But like, people were like, how can you let your feelings about them as a person, like, that happens all the time. Like,
yeah, that's literally like what we talk about all the time.
Absolutely. Like, I vehemently disliked Nikki Bella and have really come around on her because of who she is as a person. Like, that has brought me around. I used to be really into Enzo
also,
and Big Cass. Guess what happened with them? Like, I like don't even know what to say about it. It got to the point where I like, okay, so...
Oh, I want to see some of these. Why'd you delete them all?
Because they were fucking insane. I got the longest DM I've ever seen. I almost copy and paste into mine. They finally learned how to spell my name. I think that's the problem. Like, I didn't get shit for literal years because people were like, emergency! How dare you say this?
It's so weird because we've always talked about how, like, the backlash to, like, we're ladies who love wrestling has been slim.
Yeah.
And then you
open
your big weird mouth about Ronda.
I know. It's fucking nuts. So I get this message. I almost copy and pasted it into Word because I was like, this is so long. It's gotta be. It was like 3 pages. It was a fucking personal essay.
This is Lana at 1 a.m. Nonsense to me.
Oh, it was insane. And this guy just went on and on. And I blocked him. I'll give you his name. Okay. So he sent me this whole thing. I was like, I'm not fucking reading this. This isn't...
Did you just type that back? I'm not reading this. Blocked?
No, I blocked him, and then I started tweeting about it, and then he emailed the podcast about how I'm a fucked up person and how...
Our podcast?
Yeah.
That's in our email?
I was monitoring it, so all of it's deleted, and I've already blocked them all as spam. So, like, all that shit's gone now. But I was like...
Erin, you have to also let me see it before you block it.
Yeah, I was done. I was like, I can't fucking deal with this. Also, Michael has offered to be our moderator, because he moderated Bloody Elbow for a really long time. So he's like, I know MMA fans, and they're garbage, disgusting humans. So, like, if you have problems, send them to me. So now we have a moderator for those things. Yeah, it was bad.
Well, I didn't know any of this was happening. I feel betrayed. You sheltered me from all of this.
Well, I was trying to, like, I was like, two of us don't need to be pissed about this. But yeah,
anger is my most productive emotion.
That's true. I did forget about that. Yeah, so I got all of these emails, and I was like, I don't understand what the fuck is happening. And so I was posting about it and was like, why are people sending me this? Like, I truly don't care. And also, it's not going to help me like Ronda anymore. Like, this is
Every time anybody says anything to you, you should just find the sound clip of her talking about Sandy Hook and be like, eat my trash.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like...
Be like, this is the line that I'll never be able to get over, so this is never, like, going to work for me.
Yeah, exactly. And so... After getting all of these emails, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just not dealing with this anymore. So I put a price structure up on Twitter. So if you would like for me to read your Ronda takes, you can send me $20 to my PayPal account, or you can send me a receipt of $30 plus for aid to the fucking concentration camp crisis that we have going on in this country. Then I will read your Ronda takes. It will cost more money for me to respond to them, but I'll read them if you give me money. And I'm like serious about that. That is my hard ass line. I just got enough shit that I was like, I am done with this. It was incredible. Like, I was not expecting it, and it was just absolute. It was like opening a garbage fire. It was nuts. So that's what I've been doing.
You have to show me some of them.
I don't even know if I could access, because I have them all marked as like spam. I don't think that I can even retrieve them anymore. I know. I'm terrible. I just wanted to deal with it. It should be fucking done.
Yeah, but now I want to know.
Yeah, it was
Erin.
It was fucking garbage.
How'd you get rid of it? I want to read them.
I mean, I deleted them, and then I marked their addresses as spam, and then I deleted all the messages. All right, I'll remember next time. I forgot that you like thrive on anger. Stella doesn't need to deal with this. This is just bullshit.
Oh, I found one.
Yeah.
Yes. I will read it.
Fucking absolute psychopaths.
If you bother to read my DM.
Ugh. Is that the one who was like, guess what? I found you.
Yeah, fuck, let's out this guy. His name is Dragon Master 134. Fuck him.
Yeah, he was the one that
Block
sent me
him.
the deranged, like, 3-page
Yeah,
essay
you don't
about
get to
Ronda.
send us all this crazy shit and not get put on blast.
Yeah.
Fuck you, dum-dums.
Yeah, that's true. And his was for sure the worst. Everybody else was just like, I'm being aggressive. And like, his was like threatening.
Apparently,
I reported him to
you're
Twitter.
more like our president than you thought.
Yeah, just
Suck my
like
dick, dude.
absolutely insane. It was nuts. And then just like straight up yelling at me.
Nice to see you expose yourself for who you really are. When has she ever been hiding any of her opinions?
I did a literal mini-sode about how shitty Ronda is as a person. That's how I was like, I know none of you bitches have ever listened to this podcast before. Like, now is when you came for me? Not the 30-minute episode I recorded about all the garbage she's done? Like, really? So, that's what I've been doing. I've had this Supreme Court bullshit, jet lag from a wedding.
God.
And then this, yeah.
Those people.
It has been a rough week.
Trash. I feel bad for you. Also, next time, send them to me.
Okay, well, you and Michael can become our moderation team.
Well, I would have loved to have been involved.
Well, I just was like, oh, I should just deal with this. I should just deal
sure.
with it and be done with it. Now, you and Michael both have been like, I would have loved to have done this. I'm like, I hated this.
Me and Michael. Do you mean your husband, Zach Gibson? It is uncanny.
It is very bizarre.
I literally just saw a picture of him and screenshot the picture and sent it to you because it was before we had watched the UK show, and just wrote,
Yeah, if you didn't know, my husband looks almost identical to Zach Gibson.
Zach Gibson has slightly, like, bulgier eyes.
Yeah, his face is a little bit longer and their beards are shaped a little differently, but like, yeah, that's what my husband looks like. It is fucking weird. I have a photo, well, I'll post it to the podcast too, that photo that I sent you. There's a photo, Michael took a photo of himself holding a photo of Zach Gibson doing the same pose, and it is
The
weird.
number one.
It's very weird.
If he ever gets the opportunity to see him live, he has to go just to get the photo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He has to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that's the bright side, is that everyone keeps asking me if my husband won the UK tournament.
And that got his ass beat by Pete Dunne.
I mean, who wouldn't?
That's so funny. What wrestling shirt are you wearing?
I am wearing my
Ronda Rousey shirt.
I'm gonna punch you in the mouth.
I'm buying you a Ronda Rousey shirt for Christmas.
How dare you insinuate that I would have a Ronda Rousey shirt?
I'm buying you one for Christmas.
I will burn it, just like we burned those Enzo and Dolph shirts.
We didn't burn them, we ripped them.
Oh, I thought we burned them later.
Did we? We may have thrown them into a fire.
I think we did throw them in the fire.
That doesn't surprise me.
Fuck you! I'm wearing my Sasha Banks legit boss shirt. It's the red one with the sunglasses. This is like 8 runs of her shirts ago.
Millions of merch.
Yeah,
she's had.
millions of merches ago. It's my favorite cherry wrestler red, which is why I bought it. I'm wearing it because I literally don't own any Bayley merch. And so it was the closest thing that I could come up with.
I'm wearing my only Bayley shirt. I'm a hugger. It's a tank top.
It's that very nice tank top.
It is a gray tank top, but it's like gray with bright yellow writing. So if you are committing to wearing this in public, you are committing to wearing this in public.
Yeah, absolutely. I also tried to casual cosplay this morning. I have a yellow sweater and I was gonna wear a purple dress. Turns out I don't have a purple dress, which
What?
isn't that surprising? I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go get one of my purple 50. I don't have this in this color. Like I have that like style cut dress in like every color, but not purple apparently, which is my favorite color.
And was also the style and color of your bridesmaid's dress.
Yeah, exactly. Don't have it. Don't have one like that. And I was like, what the fuck? So I had this like double of this morning of like, I don't have anything Bayley. Also, why don't I own a purple dress? So it was very bizarre. So I like tried to like cosplay or whatever as Bayley and didn't have fucking anything. But I did realize like, please God, someone make that Bayley style shirt that says you ain't shit, because I will buy it. I will buy it and I will wear it.
I'm a slugger.
I'm a slugger. That one's okay. But you ain't shit in the Bayley colors fits perfectly and looks fucking great. And
No one is gonna do that.
yes, they will. Are you crazy? There are fucking all kinds of made up shirts for wrestlers. I have a shirt that's in the Bullet Club logo that says the gay community. I'm sure someone's gonna make a you ain't shit shirt and I will buy it. So if someone knows where that's already being done, you let me know because I want one. Because I like Bayley and I want some Bayley merch, but I refuse to go in public with I'm a hugger written anywhere on me. Like, I'm not doing it. I will never do it. It's the strongest, longest running thing that I have said on this podcast, and I am sticking to it. I am not wearing that shit.
That and that you hate Ronda Rousey.
Absolutely true. You are right about both of these things. All right, well, then let's talk about it. Let's talk about how fucking awesome Sasha and Bayley was this week.
Before I talk about it, I finally finished reading the Sasha, or the Four Horsewomen 4-part run of the WWE comic book series. I finally finished reading it today. I'm so behind in my comic books. It's disgusting. That's going to be my job for the next 2 weeks, is catching up on my fucking comic books. But it's really interesting because it follows Bayley. It follows like all 4 of them, but it follows Bayley really specifically. It's told from her point of view. And it's around when they got called up and she didn't.
Oh, okay.
And then she won the belt, but then Alexa, Nia, and Carmella got called up and she didn't. And then like how she came up, and then her kind of rivalry with Sasha. And it was just like very timely. And it was like weird that it was a different era, but then it was just like interesting for me to like finish reading that 2 days after her heel turn.
I mean, she said you ain't shit on live TV. I feel like that's a full heel turn for Bayley.
Yeah, but
I mean, she's not
heel
wrong.
Turn here's what I'm wondering. I don't know if it's going to be a heel turn in the traditional sense of heel turn, where it's like she's yelling at the audience and like it's like, oh, fuck you guys didn't love me, you guys don't deserve my hugs or whatever, or it's just a turn on Sasha.
Yeah, I can honestly see either, but it's so antithetical to who Bayley is as a character that she would attack her from behind out of nowhere and then would like beat the shit. Also, like,
she beat the shit
out of her. Said you ain't shit on live TV, which is again like, that's a big deal that they would let her do that at all. Like, that alone is, they've clearly made a shift in how they feel about Bayley, which is really good. But she also like held her by the face, which is like a particularly disrespectful thing to do to another person. That like, if it was just Bayley turning on Sasha, I don't know that they would push it that far. Like, that's a very fair. Specific, like, I have no respect for you as a person.
if they do have her go full heel, I normally wouldn't think this with other people, I think, but I really want her to keep her music and be a bad guy. I really want that juxtaposition. I want her to have those fucking
like Sami Zayn
inflatable tube. Yeah, I want her to be a bad guy and have the like fun. I don't want her to change anything about her look or aesthetic or her music, but I want her to be a bad guy.
I think go from I'm a hugger to I'm a slugger as her like official stuff that she wears, but all in the same colors, all the same patterns. Flip more to the gear that she had been wearing that had the no cartoons on it, that was like the solid colors.
Right.
It's still bright, but it's, and like could be babyface gear, but is clearly a shift away from who she used to be. I think it would be a very strong statement if she kept everything the same. She comes out, the tube men come up, and she just unplugs them and is like...
Or just has a knife and it's just like...
I mean, that is my ultimate goal. I would love for her to come out and be like, fuck these tube men, and just stabs them all. That would be great. I don't think you can do that on live television, but maybe because they're not real. But I think it would be really effective for her to like walk out after the tube men have come on and just unplug them while she walks down the aisle and then keep everything else. Like... Don't necessarily bring out the deflated tube men every time, but like that's a good way to take that out of her entrance. Like, I unplugged this, I'm done with these. Like, that I think is the only thing that like as a shift I think makes a lot of sense. With the tube men as a heel, like, unless she's gonna stab them every time, they seem kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, that's true.
But I like the crowd hasn't cheered for Bayley in a literal year, I think. It has been a long time since they have given a fuck about her. And been so behind her.
Buried by Alexa
a year ago at Extreme Rules. Yeah. So I feel like this is the perfect time to bring Bayley around. Like, last year I was too scared to use a kendo stick, and this year I'm gonna beat the piss out of you, Sasha. Like, that's a really good progression for her character. Like,
honestly, to have her like win maybe against Sasha and then keep this heel character and then be like, I'm gonna go do this to all the people that disrespected me.
Absolutely.
Charlotte, Alexa, fuck you. Asuka, fuck you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
I mean, I know they're on different brands, but Bayley has talked about how she wants to go to SmackDown too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, who knows? But she has a lot of room to like take the energy in the Sasha feud and put it on other people. Like, oh, absolutely. Alexa, remember you when you trotted my teacher out? I'm going to kill you now.
I really thought for a second when Bayley had Sasha on the ground next to the ring apron, I for sure thought she was going to pull out a kendo stick. It really felt like she was going to, and it would have been appropriate.
For sure.
But it was more effective to have her hold her face and tell her, you ain't shit. Like, the next time she sees her, I hope she has a kendo stick. But, like, this is such a drastic change for Bayley that literal any movement on her character is nice, and I'm
also,
really
she
happy
gave a
for
little
her.
attitude to Kurt when he was like, you have to go to counseling. And she was like, oh,
Fuck you!
fuck you and your nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked that. Which also makes me think that she's heel. Like,
right. Also, Sasha, it was released on WWE later or some shit. Sasha is also going to be in that counseling session.
oh, so they're going to beat the shit out of each other at counseling. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Good.
So, a lot of people were like, ugh, counseling thing. But, like, sometimes they've done them right and they can lead to interesting stuff. Sometimes they're very stupid. But
counseling is how we got Team Hell No.
Right, exactly.
Like, it does work sometimes if they're willing to commit to the women in the same way they do to the men. LOL forever, I guess. But, like, it is possible. They can do it.
Also, before that, it was a really good match.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, Bayley, Sasha, and Ember versus the Riot Squad, like, that rules.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Also, Riot Squad is on a tear of winning shit.
Mm-hmm,
so,
absolutely.
good for them. Also, Riot Squad's interaction with Jinder Mahal was hilarious.
Yeah, I really liked that.
When Ruby smashed the camera and then Jinder and Sunil kind of just smiled and were like, we're going to talk in Hindi because we don't know what to do. I like that the Riot Squad gave them the look. It wasn't like, oh, what language are you speaking? It was literally like, we just smashed your camera and that is the only reaction you have?
Mm-hmm.
We smash things for reactions and you're just going to continuously wave at us? Y'all are fucking weird.
Yeah.
It didn't feel, I saw a take that was like, well, that felt racist. I'm like, it didn't feel racist to me at all.
No.
It more felt like, we just smashed a really important camera and you're being weird to us.
Yeah.
Ugh, you don't get what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, like, I love Sunil, so. Sunil forever. I also loved how they were, like, posing for Ruby. Like, okay. It was an effective moment.
Yeah, and, like, they're all heels, so it was, like, it felt appropriate among all of them.
All right, what are your newses?
Newses.
News.
Sad ass news ticker.
Yeah, well, appropriate.
I mean, yeah, basically anytime you look at the news, it's sad.
It's sad.
All right, we got a bunch of news this week. Most of it's sad. Actually,
Excellent.
that's true. About half of it's sad. Last week we reported that Sammy was injured. We didn't know at the time that what has happened is that Sammy has 2 torn rotator cuffs and will be out till 2019. Yep. Which means that we talked about this off air this weekend. That means that he performed with Bobby Lashley at Money in the Bank with 2 torn rotator cuffs. Which, how, first of all? And second of all, why? Just abandon that feud and go get surgery. Like, why did we do this to him? It feels like insult to injury. Literally insult to injury. That he had to do this bullshit campaign, which clearly they protected his shoulders enough because that's why they did all of these fucked up segments. Yeah. But, like, just let him go get surgery.
Just let him do some surgery.
So he's out till 2019. And also in follow-up news to that, because he's not wrestling, he doesn't give a shit anymore and called someone a little bitch on Twitter, which was...
Well, that person is a little bitch.
That person was a little bitch and was being a piece of shit, and...
Because they were saying offensive things about immigrants in Syria. And...
Yeah, and Sammy did the right thing. Screenshotted them, left their username in, did not quote tweet them so that they don't get traction for it, but people can find them and block them and report them, that's what you should do. Like, a screenshot is more effective because then...
They can't delete it.
Yeah, exactly. It's already there. If people start coming for them, they can't be like, you're just attacking me because of no reason. See, this tweet doesn't even exist. Like, no, you little bitch. We all know it exists.
No, you little bitch.
So I thought that was very effective. And, like, also as someone who's probably pretty angry about both of his rotator cuffs being torn, don't come for him. Like, straight up, just don't do that. So I liked that. I was like, good for you, Sammy. Get your shit in.
Get your shit in.
So I hope the bean heals soon.
Also,
and
if you
fine.
want to do something for Sammy because he's got these rotator cuffs, he is taking donations again for a mobile clinic in Syria. So
yeah.
find that on his Twitter.
Yeah, his organization does great work, and God knows that Syria needs it. So that's another good place to put your money if you have extra money to put. Other news. Let's start with the other bad shit. Okay, so we had talked before about Big Cass being released and some of the stuff that happened, and we'd heard some rumors. Sounds like the definitive incident that happened that got him fired is that he is a jealous piece of shit and doesn't want Carmella to have any male friends. And Vic
DeJoseph. Vic DeJoseph.
Vic DeJoseph from 205 Live. They're friends. They travel together. They're both on Tuesdays. It makes sense that they would travel together and have become close. They were like talking backstage one day, and Cass confronted Vic and was like, you don't get to speak to her. She's mine. And you don't get this. And like, what? Fuck you. So this happens. And then later, Cass tried to confront Carmella about it, and she's like, bitch, leave me alone. Tries to walk away from him, and he physically restrains her from walking away.
I did not see this. Also, I think it's just Vic Joseph. I don't know why I put a
Vic
there.
DeJoseph? Oh, he's Vic DeJoseph now.
I don't know. The 205 Live guy.
Yeah, Vic from 205 Live. Vic DeJoseph.
Cass put his hands on her?
Yeah, put his hands on her. But here's the great part about this story. So this happens. He puts his hands on her, and Carmella's probably like, get the fuck off of me. Eric Rowan and the Usos show up and are like, get the fuck away from her. Do not touch her. Go away right now. And then got released. So, like, that feels pretty definitive. Like,
Usos!
And Eric Rowan. Like,
yeah, I guess.
I mean, I have feelings about Eric Rowan because they did a shitty stalker.
Right, but good for him as a person.
But, like, this truly made me feel better about Eric Rowan. I was like, okay, there are reasons this dude is around, and making sure Carmella doesn't get roughed up by her ex-boyfriend is a good enough reason.
Her ex-boyfriend who is claiming ownership of her.
Yeah.
First of all, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you don't have ownership over them, period.
Exactly.
You especially don't have any say in anything that they do when you are no longer together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So that seemed like he said
a garbage
he was like
dump.
Getting drunk all the time and being a dick to people and going too long on segments.
She got a fucking belt, and he was like, what did I do with my life? And she was like, moonwalk, fuck you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have some follow-up to that.
Tokyo
and like,
while you're on your couch.
Yup. Bitch. So like, you know, that WWE fucks up a lot of shit. But as a response to that incident, they did the right thing. And I would like.
Well, you have to imagine the Usos have some pull too.
That's exactly why I think that this happened. That they were like,
their champs.
yo,
and
what's
the
up?
Usos have some pull.
Yeah, like, first of all, she's our champ. Do not put bruises on her arms where people can see them. Duh, you fucking moron. Like, she wears a sleeveless outfit. People are going to be able to see that shit. Like, you can't hide it. And also, like, the Usos have been there for 9 years. You're about to. How do you do that?
Also, don't ever put your hands on another person without permission.
It says a lot that he was willing to do that in front of multiple other people. Like, that is not a first time move. You don't escalate to in front of other people immediately. That's just not how those patterns work. Like, there are lots of studies that show that that's not how those patterns work. And so I think that that's also like a really good sign that WWE was like, bye. Like, nope, you've already escalated to this point. Literally goodbye. Like, you can't be helped at this point. Especially, again, if he's getting drunk all the time. You can't fucking control that. So, goodbye, big ass.
You're 7 foot tall. How much does it take for you to get drunk?
Yeah. Maybe he's a lightweight. You don't know. Maybe it's like, I had 1 Miller Lite. Woo! Cast mode! We don't know. Now we'll never know, and we don't have to.
Don't taint Brie mode with cast mode.
Well, he's garbage, and maybe he gets garbage drunk. I don't know.
Other news. It
came out this week, so we've been talking about how the women's tag thing needs to happen. Apparently, Becky Lynch has been the spearhead of this for 2 years. Has, like, been getting the glow treatment, basically. She's like, you need to do this. You have to start doing this. And they're like, no. We don't think it's a good idea. We don't think people will like it. We don't think it's marketable. She wants to do a rotating belt. She wants it to be on.
It should be.
Absolutely.
On all 3 shows.
That's exactly what she wants. She wants an NXT, Raw, SmackDown, like, she wants a women's tag team television title. Like, if you're on WWE TV as a woman in a tag team, you can fight for this belt. And they're just like, nah. I don't see why people would want that. That seems silly that women would want that fans want that. So, like, I'm glad Becky's been trying. And also, like, how the fuck after 2 years have they not been like, yeah, duh, let's do this?
Because they don't actually pay attention to what anybody wants.
No, absolutely not. And it's so bizarre, too, because, like...
And they give us weird things like NXT UK. Is that something that people want? Here's my take on that. It seems like the people who like UK wrestling and British wrestling like British wrestling.
Yeah.
The people that I know that like that were not begging for WWE to come in and, quote, elevate their British wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the people standing on that UK NXT stage were essentially progress.
Oh, yeah.
So unless they have like a malleable contract like they do now, that is not good for British wrestling.
No, not at all. It's, yeah.
So why spend so much money and stuff doing that stuff? I just don't know. We'll see. I enjoyed watching the UK tournament and all that stuff, but I personally don't see how NXT UK is viable in the long run. After it loses its hype. I mean, it was fun and good, but like, I feel like British fans seem very loyal to the things that they like.
Absolutely. I think that's what they're thinking, is that because they're loyal to these wrestlers that they'll then come to WWE TV.
Yeah.
Which maybe.
I don't know shit about British wrestling other than
it exists.
I know. I do know that I love Joe Coffey.
Yes.
He is big and Scottish and beefy.
Uh-huh. All of the things you like.
I mean, his face isn't as pretty as Drew's, and I'm just like, Drew is forever. But Joe Coffey is pretty nice.
I love wrestling, and I like British wrestling, and I like a lot of these guys, what I've seen of them, who I knew. I don't give a fuck about the UK tournaments. I didn't watch the last one. I haven't watched this one. By now, I probably won't. Also, like,
both of them. But I just happen to have extra time.
Don't Ronda stand me about this, but, like, I don't understand what the point of that belt is when, like, you gave it to Tyler for, like, a day, and then give it to Pete, and then Pete's just gonna hold it for, like, 8 years? Is that the plan? Like,
I mean, to be fair, Pete has defended it a decent amount.
Yeah, I'm not saying he hasn't.
And he is an incredible wrestler, and Tyler's an incredible wrestler. And the things that they have done with the UK tournament and the UK stuff, like, has been really good. I really enjoyed it. But again, I don't know if I can carve out time for it. And I also don't know if it's viable. Like, especially, I feel like British fans are going to be pissed if they don't have the malleable contract and they have to all leave Progress and Riptide and all the other ones. I don't know, those are the only ones I know. But if they do have a malleable contract, people are just going to be like,
I'll just watch them on the show I like.
I'm just going to go to Progress and watch them on the show that I love and stand super hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was also weird for me knowing enough about Progress and British wrestling and seeing stuff, but then having watched like essentially everything of the United Kingdom belt, it was fucking weird for me to see British strong style wrestle when all of Pete and Tyler's stuff in WWE has been as enemies. And then for no explanation other than their British strong style, are they competing together and hugging in the ring? That was fucking bizarre.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I feel like you didn't earn this. Like, you're just like, oh, we're all marks. So you hate that we're marks, but you also love that we're marks.
Right, exactly.
I hate you, WWE.
Yeah, that's exactly what my problem with this UK stuff. Like, we're punished for being marks about some things, but then like, hey y'all, get on board, get on board, get on board. UK wrestling, like, okay, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
I mean, like I said, I'm really into a lot of those wrestlers, and now that I have more time, I want to, make it past Progress 5 and watch more Riptide and watch more of this stuff. I think I might watch it in the way that I watch New Japan, where I just watch matches, just because it's easier for me than committing to a whole nother promotion, because like I've already committed my life too much to wrestling. Mm-hmm. But it just seems like a weird end game. Also, frankly, everyone can hate me, but Johnny Saint is not a charismatic GM, and I don't know how you can carry a brand with he didn't do anything. I know he's like a legend, everyone loves him, but like it was boring every time he was on screen. Mm-hmm. It was super boring.
The
matches
if
were
you don't
really
already know him and have the nostalgia for him as a very famous wrestler, like
he just seemed like
he's just a name.
Guy who was there.
Yeah, exactly.
The matches were fun. The tournament was fun. I got introduced to Joe Coffey, which now I'm obviously like salivating in my mouth. Zach Gibson like was great, deserved to go as far. The match between him and Pete was astounding. The match between him and Travis Banks was really good. Like, it was a good tournament. I also really enjoyed a lot of the NXT stuff. Shayna versus Tony was really good. Mm-hmm. I'd never seen Killer Kelly before. I really liked her.
I like Killer Kelly a lot.
I don't understand why they insist on putting the tag matches first in things, because the second episode they were first. A, that's when the title switched, right? Also, B, those matches shouldn't be first. Those people are such good wrestlers. I don't understand.
You set the bar so high for like.
It really fucks up the rest of the watching of the show.
Yeah,
like,
it's not good booking.
The first episode, British Strong Style and Undisputed Era were like the match before the main match, which worked or something like that. They were like a breather in between something, which worked. And it was really, really good. But you have this tag title switch. I think they're thinking like, oh, we'll get the crowd really hot. But then like the next match was Killer Kelly and Charlie Morgan. And it was fine. But like, I'm sorry, it couldn't follow that match.
Yeah.
And it was weird.
Yeah.
It was a weird transition. And I was like, this is making me think that these women don't know how to wrestle, and that's not true.
Right.
But that was a fucking weird-ass choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not just switch those 2 matches?
I don't know. It was fucking weird.
Yeah, and like those are my further complaints with these UK tournaments. It feels like both of them have been like that, where there's like, why was this booking choice made? Why was this match thrown in at this point? Why are these choices being made?
Yeah, it just made me think, wow, I really like these wrestlers. I want to watch them on a different brand that's not WWE.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was my experience watching this.
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Well, we talked about the UK tournament. I'm not actually done with the news, but I'm glad
know,
we fit that in there. No, it was like a really good place to put it.
Yeah, we did it. Nailed it.
Nailed it. We did it.
Professional podcasters.
Okay, I have 2 more pieces of news. One is silly fodder. So you know how Kevin Owens has been trying to get Shania Twain.
God, this was so good.
This was so funny. So he's been begging Shania Twain. He got re-verified on Twitter so that he could ask Shania Twain to sing when he went to see her in concert. He flew all the way across Canada to go see her with his
Apparently,
wife.
Kevin Owens loves Shania Twain.
Apparently he does. I will say Shania Twain puts on a great concert. She was like the second concert I ever saw in my life, and it was fun as fuck. Like
She's not saying ignorant things online. She puts on a great concert.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was also in like 6th grade when I saw her, so don't feel that bad. Yeah, like you're Canadian. You do not need to weigh in on our fucking politics.
Go home.
Yeah. Deal with your own scammer president or prime minister or whatever the fuck he is.
Yeah, he's not a monster, but he's making some choices.
He's making some bad choices. Maybe you should check that instead of checking our dumbass Cheeto president. Anyway, Shania, not where we're going with this story. But Kevin Owens made a sign that said, "I love you, Shania," and brought it and held it up. And so she called him up to the stage.
They must have gone through this.
There
right?
must have
this
been.
had to have been some kind of.
I think that there was probably an agreement, like, you should bring him up or you should call him up to the stage. I don't know that I will make a sign that says "I love you, Shania" was part of it, but did get him up there, and they like had a conversation on stage like during this concert where he was like, "I really want you to play this song. It's my favorite song and one of my favorite artists." She was like, "I think you're a good guy outside of wrestling, but I don't think it's a good idea to reward heels who do bad things with getting what they want."
It's not very Canadian of you.
It's not very Canadian of you. And I was like, this is like really good kayfabe.
Great kayfabe.
Good job, Shania, that you're doing this. And she did say, I don't even know if I could remember all the words to Win. She sang it 2 nights before. And a bunch of people tweeted her and were like, "Yeah, Kevin Owens wants you to play this. I'm so glad that you still do this." And then 2 nights later, it's like, I don't remember the words to this song. Like, what's the truth, Shania? I need to know.
It's so funny. I loved his response because she was like, "Well, if you beat Braun Strowman, I'll play it for you." And he was like, "Well, the thing about Braun is, because I just love Kevin Owens' character, his heel bad guy, but then the like explaining type, like when he came out to ask Braun to be like,
yeah, I want to be your friend. Yeah,
I want to be your friend. Now the way he gives promos in that, like, he's still a bad guy, but he's like trying to maybe do a good thing, like a bad guy doing a good thing,
like weaseling his way backwards to the door. Yeah,
how that like doesn't work that well, so his voice gets all weird. Like Kevin
gets kind of high and his cadence changes and is stunted.
I love Kevin Owens from the depths of my soul. I know a lot of people that really didn't like all of the stuff with Kevin Owens on Raw, and they were like, "What are you doing with Kevin Owens? This doesn't help him at all. This is a stupid segment."
I disagree.
I stand for Kevin Owens. I love him. So.
And I feel like he now has Sammy taken away from him. Like, right. Sammy can't come back and be his foil for these things. Like, Kevin is great when he has a partner to work with.
Yes, and also Kevin exasperated is good for him.
So good.
He's good because they're not going to put him in the title picture now. They're not going to put him in a tag team now. Like, him being a bad guy, surrounded by these good guys, being chased by this monster who is a face, kind of. Like, he's more of a face than a heel.
Yeah.
He's like chaotic good.
Yes, definitely.
So Kevin's like, I don't know how to navigate all this stuff. Like, he might
What are the rules?
Right. He's probably going to get squashed by Braun, but like, Kevin and his character in this moment can handle losses.
Yeah.
And because he can talk his way out of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he can recover because he's so good and people love him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's it might not be doing anything for Kevin, but it is doing stuff for Braun. And sometimes it's not about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kevin is still doing a good job. And his, like, sadness, my first thought when that car was flipped was, how's he going to get to Shania? It's tomorrow, bro. He's going to miss his flight.
I also like how that segment was, it was perfect because he was like, we won. Why are you mad at me? I have to get out of here.
I did that train thing you wanted.
And I like it too because it's like, in that moment, Braun did a very good job of when Kevin, like, hit him in like, excitement, where it was like, oh, you fucked up. Like, we went from you guys being friends to, no, Braun is gonna, like, literally rip your liver out. Like, it was such a good reminder of, like, yeah, Braun is a good guy right now.
Chaotic good.
But is still a monster. And can fuck your shit up. So I like what they're doing with Kevin. I thought it was great. And, like, it's really good for him that he can be up in front of a crowd at a Shania Twain concert. Like, that is really good marketing for him as a performer. Like, that's a big fucking deal. And I like that a lot.
Kevin
All right,
forever.
we have one more piece of news. Did you know that the bar is still on SmackDown? I had forgotten.
Yeah, they just don't have anything to do with them, so they've just not been on TV.
Dave Meltzer said on his latest episode, Creative has nothing for them, and that's why they're not doing anything. Creative has straight up told them, we don't know what to do with you, so we're not doing anything. Like,
They were like,
what the fuck? What? They moved them over to SmackDown and then stopped using them completely. They were in the middle of a white hot streak on Raw, and they were like, move them over. We need them in the tag division. LOL, JK, give it to the Bludgeon Brothers.
yeah, the tag scene on SmackDown is, I mean, the tag scene on both shows is not great, but after this week, it seems like they're at least trying to do stuff with it on Raw. They're trying new stuff, whereas, like, they brought Insanity and stuff, but then they put them in a 3-on-3, and, like, it's a little confusing.
And I think it's bizarre that the Revival keeps fighting this mashup team of Roman and Lashley.
But they won!
They won this week, and they've gotten to be on TV with Roman 2 weeks in a row, which is a big deal.
And
like,
they
that's
looked
not to be
good 2
understood.
weeks in a row. And they got to talk and wrestle.
Absolutely.
And, like...
Yeah, this is a really, really good thing for them.
And they won.
Yeah, and they won. But it's also like, what? They're not a... Roman and Lashley aren't a tag team, and so it's bizarre to be like, oh, you're using this great tag team.
Part of their thing is that they would come out and say, be like, we're the best tag team in the world.
Yeah.
You two might be fine you two might be great singles wrestlers, but
Right.
y'all ain't got shit on us. And
Yeah.
then they proved it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And then it also gave fuel to Brock and Roman. Well, who cares?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so the bar still exists. I had forgotten about it, to be honest.
Still exists. Did you watch Shadow Bellas? I know that you did.
I did
You
watch
caught
it.
up?
I am caught up. This episode was better. I cried still, but didn't feel like my soul was being ripped out of my body. I watched So You Think You Can Dance and then immediately this, so I cried for like 2.5 hours straight.
What did you cry about in this episode? I didn't cry.
Here's the thing. Nikki's struggle with this wedding is a little close to home. From beat by beat is very similar what happened with me, and so it's been very bizarre to watch this, and I have so many people be like, man, Nikki's being a real bitch about this.
Oh, I didn't think she was being a bitch.
Well,
I just didn't know why it was cry-worthy.
Well, I mean, like, the back and forth, that they're advertising of her being like, why did I even agree to this? Maybe I don't actually want to get married. I was the one that pushed this, and like, yeah, I felt that very strongly. Like, my now husband came in drunk from a baseball game, and I was like, we're getting married. You're not proposing. We're doing this. Like, I was for sure the pushing force, and the closer and closer we got to our wedding, the more I was like, why did I agree to do this? I'm freaking out about it. And so these beats are reading a little close to home for me, and so I think that's part of it with me. But I cried because, like, I felt fucking bad for Mama Bella.
Oh, yeah, that was sad.
That whole thing is bullshit. Like, Brie treated her like shit, and I was surprised.
That's just classic Brie, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is, I found it very frustrating too that Brie's like, well, the reason I had my dad do it is because I didn't want to regret anything.
Tradition.
It's tradition, and I didn't want to look back and regret it. And like, you're doing that now. You're literally looking back thinking, oh shit, I should have had my mom do this, and feeling the regret you thought you would feel if you had your mom do it. So like, dumb. That was a dumb move. And then trying to place it on Nikki of like, I fucked up, and so now you have to do this thing. Like, I very much got that during my wedding. My sister had my dad and my stepdad walk her down the aisle, and so everyone assumed it would be my mom, and I had said it would be my mom for a long time. But like Nikki said, I'm a full grown ass woman. By the time I got married, it didn't seem appropriate to be handed away as someone who's been given away.
Yeah.
And to have to go through that with a big family, which is very involved with each other, like, I totally get it. I totally understand why that was very difficult for her and why
You
that...
walked yourself?
Michael and I walked in together.
That's right.
Because
I remember that.
Because we talked about it. It was like, because I was having problems with it. It was
I was
like,
there. I just wasn't paying
yeah,
attention.
and he was like...
I was worried about my speech.
I mean, it was great. Your slam poem was excellent. And Michael, in the end, was like, I don't want to stand up there alone while everyone enters because I don't feel it's appropriate to be receiving you. We should just enter together. And so that's how we ended on it. And so watching Nikki go through this, it's like, don't let them tell you that you shouldn't do whatever you fucking want. And like her talking about, I feel like this is for everyone else. I feel like what everyone else wants is more important than what I want. Like, ooh, girl. It was just very real. And like, not in the way that the rest of the season has been of like, this is earth shattering and feels fucking devastating.
Right.
Just in like I also had to plan a very difficult wedding with a difficult family. Like, I just totally understand those beats that she's moving through. Like, ooh, girl, I understand why you called this wedding off. If it's this stressful right now,
yeah.
I totally get it.
I'm such an only child that sometimes when I see people struggle like this, I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Also because we were joking this weekend, like, I think my mom is fully afraid of me wedding planning. Because I am so outspoken and, like, I never do anything that I don't want to do, essentially. And growing up, my mom, like, knows that. Like, it's just whatever. And my grandma, too. I feel like nobody has given me pushback on anything with this wedding. And not that I'm being, like, a diva or anything. But, like, I'll go to my mom and be like, hi, I would like your opinion on this. And my mom's response will be, whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah. Cool. What is your opinion on this? I don't have an opinion. I just want you to be happy. Hi, I want you to give me a fucking opinion. Yeah. And everyone's just like, it's fine. Whatever you want. I'm like, I want opinions.
You're having the literal opposite problem that Nikki was having. Like, bitch, I just want your opinions.
It's so funny. My mom's like, whatever you want, whatever you want. I'm like, I feel like we've been in like an abusive mother-daughter relationship and you're terrified of me. Oh no.
Oh no.
I mean, like, yeah. Not that I've like done anything, but like I'm a smart ass and
you're a fiercely independent woman. Like,
fiercely, that is not walking down the aisle by herself.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like, just have them both do it. Like, I'm just gonna have my mom and my dad.
Oh yeah, duh.
I also might do a mom and daughter dance and a dad and daughter dance because I think it's ridiculous that one person gets to do both those things.
That's why we didn't do one because it was.
Well, Nick really wants to do one with his mom.
Yeah, and Michael didn't want to do one with his mom, and I was like, I have 3 dads. This is not gonna work.
Right, and also my dad can't give a speech.
Yeah.
So my grandpa's gonna give a speech, which is important to me. So I want my dad to be able to do something.
To have something, yeah. That's smart. Man, wedding planning is stressful AF. One of the things that I really like that they've done a little more heavily in this season, they clearly record shit that doesn't make the show, obviously. Like, they have to record so much in order to have these episodes that they can edit down. I like that a lot of times they show these conversations between Nikki and John that are in like kind of almost like a sepia filter. Like, hey, remember when we showed this earlier? But we've never seen it. Like, they're really good about taking stuff that's like, you're not going to see this full scene, but
time travel magic.
Yeah, they do these like little clips. They did stuff with Renee and Dean when they were on Total Divas like that. And then they also did stuff with Brie and Daniel on Total Bellas like that, where you see these conversations of them that are like stock footage or whatever. But inside of that, when Nikki was talking about picking the person who's going to walk her down the aisle.
Tap dance her down the aisle.
Tap dance her down the aisle. I liked that John's first instinct immediately was like, oh, well, if I was going to pick someone to walk you down the aisle, it would be Brie. Like, duh. Obviously, Brie should be the one who does this. She's your sister. She's your twin. She's like, that's like kind of your whole deal. It just felt like a very progressive choice. And 2, like, he's right. I mean, it really should be Brie. If it's going to be anyone if it's not their mom and it's not going to be her by herself and it's not them entering together, it should be Brie. And I thought that
I like that Brie in true Brie form was like, no.
Yeah, like, tradition. How dare. But like,
no.
I thought that was a nice moment of like, John clearly looked into Nikki as a person and was like, what would you actually want if you had no tradition bounds to you? And I think that he's right. I think she would want it to be Brie. And it's just that Brie is Brie and would not do it. And also then Nikki's like, I need to make this decision and have symbolism to it. Like, your twin wouldn't be symbolism. So I like that. I like that we get to see these like little pieces of John in this, like, especially in a season that's like basically designed to make him look like a goddamn monster. Like, I thought that was nice that we get this like separate thing. And also it's nice to know like John does agree to do all of this shit filmed. Like, it's just that they don't use a lot of it because John doesn't give a fuck. It's like, I'm gonna do me and you can just use whatever the fuck you want. So I like that. I thought it was like a nice little piece in this.
Also, goat yoga. Who knew it wasn't very romantic?
It made me angry. Like, I cannot imagine going to do yoga and something is peeing on my mat and then climbing on me.
Brie was like shocked by it. Like, what did you guys think?
Yeah, what did you think goat yoga was? Are they like trained and they do yoga with you?
There is a place in Chicago that does cat yoga. That sounds great.
It sounds kind of frustrating.
I hate yoga and I love cats, so the cats interrupting me doing yoga sounds great. Yeah, I don't have to fully do yoga.
All right, that's fair. That does make a lot of sense.
Meow.
I did like the stuff of them going on the dates. I liked a lot too. Again, like a very real moment when Dan O'Brien was like, you know what would actually be great? If you guys would go away.
I fast forwarded through it. It was so uncomfortable. Who would follow them and chase them and chant yes in a weird cart? Like,
it made me so uncomfortable.
I had to fast forward it. I couldn't handle it.
At the very end, they're like sitting in that garden and they're talking about what we really need is to be alone to like have a real date basically. And they were like sitting alone in this garden surrounded by these cameras, one on each side. And Daniel looks to one and then looks directly into the other. And it's like, you know what would be nice?
Oh, the cameraman. I thought you were talking about the people chanting.
No.
The cameraman part was sweet. But the people chasing them, I was like, fast forward. I couldn't fast forward it fast enough.
Deeply uncomfortable. No, I mean with the cameraman.
Yeah, that was
and
cute.
I like that the cameraman too, like you got the shot of the one camera moving away who was like, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, you should back up 30 feet and let them be alone for a second. Like, I thought that was really nice. And I feel like, I'm not sure exactly how to say this. I don't think it's necessarily because Nikki is a producer on it that they can have a little more space, but I like that they've been a part of this reality structure for long enough that they can have some autonomy and be like, hey, I know we're filming. We can do more of this later. Please just leave me alone for 15 minutes.
On social media, they're like always like snapping and like taking pictures of the cameraman and like talking to them. Like it is.
They have a relationship with them.
Like, yeah. I mean, you would have to if they're like around you all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So I liked it. I thought that was nice. And like a nice balance to what's going on.
Let's talk about wrestling. So we're doing this thing where we're not talking about everything that we watch because our episodes have been so long.
Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about the highlights, whether good or bad, that we liked. We are going to talk about all the women's segments on the shows that we watch.
There's not very many.
Not very many, and also that's like our thing. So Impact this week. Here are the things that stood out to me. LAX won the tag titles.
Oh, shit.
Against C&E. It was a good match. It opened the match, so they won them right away. I was sad because C&E didn't really have the titles very long, but like they're doing the storyline with LAX, so it did make sense. And again, LAX they're good wrestlers. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
So later they show them in the LAX clubhouse and they're celebrating and whatever. And Conan comes back. And he's like a little roughed up, like he's got a black eye and stuff. And they're like, "Oh my God, K-Dog, welcome back. We got the tag champs." And Conan's like, "Hey King, I need to talk to you. Go celebrate your win, boys. We'll see you later." And then essentially Conan is like, "So I know that it's your fault that I got busted up." And King's like, "Hey, I just been here holding this down. Like, we got the tag champs. Like, I've been looking for you." And Conan was like, "If I find out that you did do this, like, you've always been so ambitious it's stupid. If I find out that you have anything to do with this, I will kill you."
Oh, cool.
So that's what's happening.
He will take you to the woods and he will murder you. We do that on Impact now.
We do that on Impact. There was a video package with Killer Cross, who is the ex-killer.
Yeah.
Or ex-outer, whatever. So he did this whole video package of him talking in a suit while it's showing clips of what he had done. Mm-hmm. He's dressed like Loki, and they're calling him a hitman. He also has a Marty Scurll villain vibe almost. Like he's got the glasses, and his whole thing was talking about fear. Like he said, fear is meant for survival. Like that was his whole thing. But then he has this like chaos element. So he's like this weird mash of Loki and Marty and like sanity.
Weird.
It doesn't not work.
Oh, okay.
It's just like kind of
It sounds like chaos.
Cherry picking the things of other things. I mean, he's straight up dressed like Loki.
Yeah.
Like the hitman Loki.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they pretended that it was suicide, and then it turned out to be like almost an imitation of a different gimmick.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about Killer Cross to know anything else about him.
Mm-hmm.
So these are just like fresh takes for me.
Right.
So I was like, this will be... He delivered a scary promo, so...
Oh, well, that's good.
There was this video package, or like a whatever, the Eddie Edwards stuff. He went back home to Boston to decompress, and when he got to his house, he was locked out. He was like yelling for Alicia, and he busted the door open, and all of their stuff had been moved out. She fully left him and took everything.
Whoa!
Except for like a single beer in the fridge, because he like chugged in and was like, wow, where's my life and my stuff? So
I like how she was like, I know he's gonna come back. I'm leaving him this one beer.
Right? There was a moment too where he sees himself in a mirror, and then he like breaks the mirror, and there's all these mirror pieces scattered, and he's like screaming into the mirror, looking at him, yelling, you did this, and no, it was you did this, but he's talking to himself in these like shards of
weird.
So Eddie Edwards is essentially broken, but in a very different,
scary,
not enlightened, losing his mind way.
Interesting.
It was really effective.
Man, they really took this baseball bat to the face thing and ran with it.
But also, like, if she had been home, that could have gone, like, in a very bad direction.
Yeah.
But by taking Alicia out of the equation right now and, like, making this just about Eddie fighting himself almost.
Right, yeah.
Was absolutely a smart thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taya and Madison had a match. It was not great.
Oh, good.
Taya looked really good in it, but the rally against Taya for Madison to get the win was not very believable.
Yeah.
Like, Madison hit, like kicked her and then hit the cross rein and then won. But after getting her ass kicked the whole time. Like, she won with two moves after Taya had destroyed her the whole time.
So she did a Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, but in a shitty way.
I mean...
Yes. But then she delivered a promo in ring that was like, I'm in here, I'm the Knockouts #1, blah, 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 blah. So her and Su Yung are going to fight each other at...
okay. I mean, it does make sense that they don't want to, like, blow their wad on Sue versus Taya, like, immediately, too.
Right.
So, I get it.
Sue answered the promo by shifting the lights and creepily laughing. Like, you couldn't see her, you could just hear her while Madison was in the middle of the ring giving her promo. So.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was a disappointing match, but at least, I mean, Sue versus Madison should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I don't love Madison, but it's fine. They are continuing to do Sammy and Penta. The main event was OVE versus Penta and Phantasma.
Okay.
The end of the match, Sammy went to hit Penta with the baseball bat. He kicked Sammy in the crotch and then took out one of the Chris and then broke one of the Chris arms. So, like, Penta's taking them all out.
Jesus Christ.
So they are going forward with that.
Speaking of Sammy, did you see that AEW suspended him for a month?
That's probably part of their kayfabe nonsense.
I'm sure
he's throwing beers and blah, blah, blah.
Apparently, part of that was real. Like,
really?
Yeah, because, again, this is, like, take it with...
Do you think AEW was like, we walked the line too much and now this has gone too far?
That's kind of what it felt like, is that they were like, well, we allowed you to do this thing during... Because it was like, in response to this thing that you did in a show, we're suspending you, which felt very much like, we allowed you to do this thing, but you really took it too far this time, and you've been taking it too far, and so now we're pulling back on this. I mean, it could be all part of an elaborate kayfabe, and maybe because he needs TV taping times off and had to pull a booking from them. But yeah, apparently that beer throwing incident was, like, only half fake, and he ruined, like, $500 worth of Cole Cabana's merch. Like, yeah. And Colt confronted him about it, and Sammy was like, oh, I'll write you a check. Yeah, if you need me to, I'll write you a check. He's like, I do need you to. You ruined a bunch of my merch. Like, so it's...
Oh, because he threw it over the ring and Colt's stuff was on the ring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That
just tracks.
Nailed it with a bunch of beer and, like, ruined a bunch of his headshots and a bunch of his shirts and shit. So I don't know if Sammy actually paid him back.
And Colt was like, I was just in court.
Yeah, like,
I do not have extra money. My
really
lawyer was a family friend, but he did charge a lot.
Yeah, literally by the hour, and I had to do a billion shows to pay for this. So yeah, I kind of wonder how much of that suspension is like, yo, bro, you need to take a chill pill a little bit, and how much of it is actually just like kayfabe. Yeah, so I was just curious if you had heard anything about it.
I did not, because I don't really care about AEW. Sorry.
Fair.
Time to enter the temple.
Bong.
Lucha Underground is wild. It's nuts. Lucha Underground this week opened with Worldwide Underground, the complete gang. Now, we know that Jack Evans definitely leaves later. We think PJ Black does.
I'm pretty sure that he does. I'm almost positive.
I don't remember that rumor or announcement. I do remember Jack Evans.
I've heard it from enough people that I'm like, I must have heard this
enough
somewhere.
people mean just the heels and heels?
No, I've heard it from some other people too. Accumulation of sources that I trust, including the heels and heels.
So it opens up with Jack Evans and PJ Black and the perfect Jack Evans and PJ Black thing, just sitting there confused, staring at Ricky holding that creepy doll. Rosa is her name. Mm-hmm. And Ricky says, guys, I went to the island of the dolls. Turns out it's a real thing. We Googled it.
It's fucking creepy. It's so creepy.
Honestly,
oh my God.
Don't Google it.
I was gonna say you should Google it if you don't know what it is, but kind of don't. Like, it's fucking
it's a bunch
creepy.
Of terrifying dolls hung from trees.
Some of them are dismembered. A lot of them are decayed. There's a creepy ghost that haunts the island.
Ghost child.
There's a ghost child and a ghost old man.
Well, the old man is not a ghost. He just recently
was murdered by a ghost. He was found
after like 50 years of torment.
He was found in the same place as the creepy dead girl. He was murdered by a ghost, for sure.
He became a ghost.
If he was murdered by a ghost, he became a ghost. That's how the rules work.
I'm just saying, we didn't read anything about male ghosts. We only read something about creepy child ghost.
I mean,
who is not appeased by all of her dolls.
Maybe he maintains the dolls. I don't know, but he was definitely murdered by that ghost.
Yeah, for sure.
So creepy.
Ricky's talking about his doll, and he's like, it's Rosa, and he pulls the thing on the back, and she says, hola, and they look at her like, oh.
They made the same face I made, which was, aha!
And then Johnny and Taya come in, and they're like, look, we're at full-blown war.
Thank you for coming to this emergency meeting of the Worldwide Underground. Like, I'm so glad they sent out like a mailer that was like, yo, we got meat. Come to the locker room at 4:30.
But then Ricky pulled her string again, and Rosa said, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Creepy, right? And then
because the first one was enough that it's like, maybe she just has these strings. And like, maybe your welcome is like a creepy pattern inside of the Ola. But like, it was.
Spoil it yet.
It was enough.
It was enough. And Jack and PJ look like, what the fuck? Then Johnny goes into this whole thing about like, we're at war with the lizard tribe. Me and Ty sent a message to Cobra last week. And then Jack goes on this whole thing where he's like, I don't fuck with lizards and snakes. I'm so sorry. I do not fuck with lizards and snakes.
Dragons? Great. Because they're like, you're the dragon slayer.
Dragons breathe fire. They're valiant. You earn honor when you slay them. Snakes? Ugh.
They're just gross. And Taya's like, they're not just gross. What do you mean? I like that Taya was like, I'm on the snake train. How dare you say anything bad about snakes?
Jack leaves to go do a match. And then Johnny randomly goes, anybody seen Angelico? I owe that guy an ass whipping. And they're like, yeah, you do. We'll keep an eye out for them. So we're like, did they just write Angelico off? They all leave except for Ricky and Rosa. And then Ricky pulls her string again, and she says, don't worry, Ricky. Your secret is safe with me.
He murdered Angelico.
Angelico's straight up a doll right now. He's a doll in the island of the dolls hanging from a tree.
Yep. They're gonna...
That's our predict.
I mean, like, truly, if any show's gonna do it, if any show is gonna show this creepy ass Isle of Dolls, it's gonna be Lucha Underground too. So I feel like we're gonna get a shot where we reveal that Ricky has murdered Angelico and he's on the goddamn Isle of Dolls. It's a public place. You can go there.
Also, to be clear, the Isle of Dolls is in Mexico.
Like, it is real.
This is a real thing, but it is also it is in a Hispanic place.
Tradition, yeah.
Well, it's not tradition, but
well, I mean, like the
place.
myth of the like creepy
right.
shit, yeah.
So it is like it tracks with like the historical shit of Lucha Underground.
Right. Exactly. We might find out that these creepy dolls are somehow involved in the tribes or fucking whatever. It is so creepy. I love it too.
And we didn't talk about the screenshot away from Ricky's face.
So creepy. So Rosa says this creepy fucking thing, and then they zoom out, and Ricky is making the creepiest face I've ever seen. Like, that bitch murdered somebody for sure. Definitely did. And is now fully evil. Straight up like...
Don't worry, guys. She's really sweet.
I went to ever since I found out that the Isle of Dolls is the real place, and it's beautiful.
It's not.
It's the creepiest thing I've ever seen. It's not beautiful. Ricky's insane. This is the most interesting shit Ricky has ever done also.
It's one of the most interesting things Lucia's done, frankly.
I would agree with that, for sure. And I'm very interested in seeing
Rosa
what happens.
twice, and I'm already like...
Literally, the first shot of her sitting in against the ring post, it was like, that doll's definitely possessed, for sure.
So the first match was Jack Evans versus a new wrestler in the temple.
We literally didn't recognize Jack Evans also. Apparently that haircut is camouflage.
Well, without the head wrap, the bandana, it was just like, who the fuck is that, Jack?
Yeah.
So it's Jack Evans and Exolicious making their temple debut.
Stan.
I follow Sunnylicious on Instagram. They're an independent wrestler, but this is their first time in the temple, and they've been rebranded Exolicious.
Which is a great name. Truly a great name.
We stand for sure.
Oh my god. Immediately, as soon as they were in the ring, it was like,
definitely our vibe, because it's very much a queer man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Or queer person. Eyelashes, rainbow colors,
booty for days.
Booty. Oh, dice.
Whew.
Not
Damn.
Bootylicious, Exolicious. So they start wrestling, and immediately you're like, whoa, this person is really good.
Yes.
My favorite move that they did, though, was when they did the handsprings and then threw Jack into the corner, did the handsprings, slapped Jack in the face, and then just blew a kiss.
I like that. I liked the Jack got thrown to the ground, and they did a flip off the rope. Not what Johnny does, not the end of the world, but a flip off of the ropes and then landed in the splits on Jack. That was a lot fucking of splits.
In a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how, there are tons of people who do, I'm lounging on the ropes, I'm doing this thing, Tyler.
Splits lounging.
Yeah, did this, straight up splits, was sup, everybody, and I was like, I'm in. In.
Well, everyone knows that I love when wrestlers are really, really vocal, and when Exolicious was getting beat up by...
Was taking the rally,
was getting beat up by Jack Evans, was... so vocal,
shrieking,
but in a very feminine way, and it was great.
It didn't feel weird. It didn't feel like this is a joke and we're taking a rib at this person.
Well, also
at all,
Lucha has the history of bringing in. Well, I don't know if Escarlata Pimpernella was queer necessarily. Obviously, a crossdresser.
I think crossdressers fit into that queer category because it's not heteronormative.
But it's also a lucha tradition to have that. I don't remember the phrase. The name of that style of wrestler, but to have a cross-dressing wrestler.
Right, yeah.
That is a lucha tradition. So they definitely, and you have, not that Joey Ryan's the same, but you have a very sexual character. The temple has definitely...
Has queer energy.
Has queer energy and has allowed that to exist. So bringing in someone in the fourth season like Exolicious, who is queer to the billionth degree, come in, it doesn't feel weird at all. It's just this is definitely a place that you belong. And
absolutely.
They... have such a unique style of wrestling. They used to be a dancer, and you can really tell.
And a cheerleader, too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. They did a great job. They did beat Jack Evans, which I thought was...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Unpredictable in that he's been in the temple for a long time. Predictable in that we know that he's leaving.
Mm-hmm. This may have been his last match. We literally have no idea.
Literally
don't tell us spoilers. We will block you.
Exolicious hit a split-out X Factor to win, and it was dope.
It looked great.
And the temple was super... I mean, you don't totally know because it's a show that they can edit, but the temple was very behind Exolicious.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It didn't feel like this is a character that we're taking the piss out of or that is funny because they're queer. It was no, they're a badass and they exist in this space and they just happen to also be very queer.
And they killed it out of the gate.
Absolutely. Immediately. Right in. Looked great. Felt great. It was super good. The twerk off the ring apron. Oh my god.
Yeah, so they threw Jack out of the ring and then they jump out of the ring, suicide dive, and then Jack's laying and then they are just twerking over Jack laying on the ground with the hands on the ring, just oh. And I mean, like we said, but for days.
Faux days. Is wearing this perfect long sleeve crop top with the wrestle panties. It was just such a good look and really showcased the twerk in a way that didn't feel
bright blue wrestle panties.
It didn't feel your outfit is only so you can do these queer moves or whatever. It was this is appropriate for the character you're playing, and also you look good doing the moves that you're doing.
I think it really helps that it's Sonny, this is who he is or who they are, and they have perfected that on the indies.
Yeah.
So bringing in a character that is queer, that is fully formed, is probably easier than trying to write a queer character.
Yeah. So you're right.
But still.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's literally nothing preventing WWE from bringing in a queer character if they don't know how to write it. But
they do have Velveteen Dream, which has, like...
That's true.
Of the last couple matches that he's had has been queer. Like,
no, for sure.
Him telling...
But that took such a long time. Oh. And we all hated it at first. And
absolutely.
I think, frankly, it took Patrick Clark to step up and do some research and, like, really...
Who is Prince? What does this mean? Which is funny, too, because I almost feel like Velveteen Dream reads in a queer way, especially with the Ricochet stuff. Like, the light hits your beautiful face in a way that felt very queer-coded. Like, Prince is not a gay man. He was not. Like, that's not who he is. He just has this queer energy. And I feel like Patrick Clark took that and elevated it past Prince, which is why it's
definitely
working.
Velveteen Dream now and doesn't feel Prince.
Exactly. And so I feel like making that choice of, like, I understand Prince's big dick energy, like, that's a thing we've been discoursing about.
Everybody's
but, like,
talking about big dick energy.
Listen, if there's a human on this planet who has it.
I didn't know that this was a thing going on, and somebody, like, tweeted at KJ while I was running it last night and said, like, Paige has got big dick energy, and I was like, I don't know how to respond to this.
True. That person was right. Paige does definitely have big dick energy. Big dick energy is definitely gender neutral. Do not assume that it is just for people with penises. It's not. It's gender neutral. But, like, I like that that Velveteen Dream has, like, taken this big dick energy from Prince and been like, now I'm gonna elevate to this different thing. And that's what really works for him. Like, he tapped into that, where before he was like, Prince is gay, and so I'm doing these kind of gay things.
But
it's like, now you're past it.
It does seem like Velveteen Dream is a wrestling character.
Yes.
Whereas Axelicious seems like
a person.
A person.
Yes, I would agree with that, for sure.
There was a Pentagon promo where he just basically was like, I'm the champ, I have zero fear.
I'm the best. You're right, you are the best.
But then, while he was celebrating his zero fear, Cage came out and kicked his ass.
Good. I like them in the title picture. I think it's a great
Cage
idea.
To have the belts,
he's been a ride or die bitch since, like, basically day one. So I'm here for it. I like it. He's good. He's done his character great. He's fucking has a baby with your ring announcer. The like, trust him.
Baby.
Yeah.
Their baby is cute.
Mm-hmm. I also we talked earlier too about there's a backstage scene with Melissa and Phoenix, and, like, Melissa pregnant. She's so pregnant.
Because in the context of Lucha, Melissa and Phoenix are a couple.
Yeah.
We obviously know that her and Cage are together and have a baby, but in this one backstage scene, because they clearly did a lot of the scenes before the
because they probably were like,
because they also think
you're all gonna quit. We need to use you now.
Well, it also makes sense in the way that they do it. I'm not sure if this is how they do it, but it would make sense if they did all of the writing for the season,
yes,
and filmed the scenes, and then they were like, how do we make the wrestling elevate the story?
This. Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of, like, vice versa or whatever.
Which is what WWE does. They're like, we're writing these wrestling fights,
right? And
then we have to like shoehorn in this backstage storyline stuff. And sometimes it works great, and most of the times it's like, what happened here exactly?
So Melissa in that segment is really sad because she's like, you're in a grave consequences match. Like, what if you die? Like, I love you. And he's like, I've been in them before. And she's like, but you were fighting two people this time. And he's like, I'm Phoenix. And, and in that moment, I was like,
you won't die.
You're gonna die.
Yeah.
This grave consequences match was not my favorite grave consequences match.
It was my least favorite of the grave consequences match, for sure.
But it definitely had some really good moments. Like, Evilise fucking Sammy.
That was awesome! It was so good. And we were discussing at the time, too. There's never been a woman in a grave consequences match, so she is the first woman to eliminate a person in a grave consequences match, right, which is a big fucking deal.
Jeremiah was about to get Phoenix in one of the caskets, and then Evilise comes out of nowhere with a fucking hammer, nails him in the knee,
Tanya Harding his ass,
nails him in the arm, nails him in the hand,
broke the hammer on his hand. She hit him so hard.
And was like, you think you can just forget about me? You think you can do me wrong?
I forgot what you did to me?
And she's like, nah, bitch. So she beats the shit out of him. He, like, flips her off weakly, and she's
puts his little middle finger Cerro Miedo style right in her face, and she's like, I will fucking rip your finger off,
and puts him in the casket, and that's the first elimination, and it was dope. And there was a great moment where she was going, like, crazy, and she, like, yelled in Spanish to the audience. And they panned to Katrina, and obviously Katrina and Evilise have had a
history, yeah.
And Katrina looks so annoyed by her presence. She's like, I have a plan right now?
But it didn't feel just like annoyed. It definitely
at first it seemed like annoyed, but once Ivelisse
eliminated
him, and it seemed like Ivelisse was going away, she was like, fine.
Yeah, it felt
fine, bitch.
It was a nice like,
because at first she was like, what is gonna happen? Like, I have a plan.
It was a nice character moment for Katrina of like, exactly like you're saying, of her being like, bitch, what you doing? I don't want to have to fight you again. That sucked. But like, also Ivelisse would come out and be like, I'm so singularly pissed at you. I don't even give a fuck that she's
kill you effectively.
I don't care that this bitch I fought is here. Like, who gives a fuck? You're such a piece of shit. I just want you dead.
You
like,
have to get
so
magicked back from one of these
absolutely
matches.
Yeah, 100%. It was just a really good combination of, and for a 3-way match, it was a very, very smart way to do an elimination, because then it just turned into a grave consequence match basically, which felt fine. It didn't feel like, oh, Sammy's been, or Jeremiah has been eliminated immediately. It was just like, oh yeah, of course. This is a natural progression of this storyline.
Well, and then Mill and Phoenix have this match. It's standard, pretty good. At one moment, Mill tries to like bang Phoenix into the bottom turnbuckle and they break the bottom rope. Phoenix goes
There was literally a moment where we were like, what just happened? What happened to the middle of the bottom rope?
Phoenix goes up on the top rope so many different times, but then obviously that like backfires on him, because after like the third time, Mill just like literally grabs him and smashes him into the ground. Mm-hmm. Mill smashes him on one of the
they dented
caskets.
The fuck out of that casket.
The shit out of it, to the point where they had to use a different casket. Like, thankfully they had 3.
Because we were talking too about the last time they did a grave consequences, they dented the shit out of their coffin, and we're like, this is the only one we have. We have to use it. So I liked that. I also really liked, I mean, again, credit where credit's due. I'm not a huge fan of Vampiro, but he had a great line at the beginning where he was like, why are there all these flowers out here? We should have more caskets. There should be way more caskets out here. Like, I agree, Vampiro. There should be way more caskets out here. Because there were 3, which was appropriate for the number of people in the match. But like, truly, there should be like 8. Honestly, like, there should be caskets everywhere, because we understand at this point that they're gonna get fucked up. The lid's gonna fucking fall off of one of them. Like, they should be prepared in the way that WWE is with announcer tables at pay-per-views, where they're like, German, Spanish, you could go over here and there's a Japanese one. Like, they have that plan for, fuck, what if something gets fucked up? And I feel like this was a good way to use more caskets in that same effective manner.
Yeah, but I disagree, because I think that elevates the stakes if there's only one casket and they're like both fighting over it.
But I don't think
you can't just trip into a casket.
Oh, I don't think it should be around the ring. I think there should be like 2.
Decor.
Yeah, there should be 2 or 3, and then there should be one on top of the office. There should be one at the top of the stairs.
That makes some sort of sense.
Yeah, or like there's one actually down the hallway that they entered in, like, spread it out so that we understand that when they get to these caskets, it may be a shocking finish that they end out here, but what's really likely to happen is that they're gonna beat the shit out of these extra coffins or caskets or whatever they call them, or drag the one from the stairs down, and then if it gets dented, they don't have to actually use that one. Like, I think that there are interesting ways to expand the way that they do casket matches, especially now that they're like, yeah, have whoever. We can have 8 people in these matches. Everything's fine.
So Phoenix gets put into a casket.
Mm-hmm.
So Phoenix is dead. Katrina
is so nonchalantly too. We were both like, this can't be the end.
I liked that though.
Yeah, I did too. At first I was like,
it was a long match.
Yeah.
And then just to have it end, it was like, oh, death. That's death. It just
That's
ends.
what death is. Absolutely. 100%.
Melissa was very upset.
She was very upset when she announced it, which I thought was a very good character move too, especially for like the audience members who don't get the backstage stuff. And then
yeah, but they all watch and are believers, so they probably know that Melissa and Phoenix.
Right. That's what I mean, is they get this like additional piece on top of it of like, if this had happened last season, they'd be like, why is Melissa so upset? And now you get this like additional layer on top of it of like, we know this, we haven't seen this season's backstage stuff, but we understand that this relationship exists. It was just like a nice character moment for her. I like that she's not just
a ring announcer.
I love JoJo, but JoJo has no character.
She's a ring announcer.
She's not a Renee or a Charlie who gets to have a little personality. JoJo is legit just an announcer. Melissa's not. Melissa's a full character in this universe. And so I like that she gets these little pieces that they clearly write this stuff knowing that she's a character. It's not like, oh, you just get thrown into this. It's like, Melissa is a character. Melissa exists in this universe. And that was like a nice little add to that. I like that.
For sure. So Phoenix is in the coffin and Katrina is like humping the coffin because she's excited. She's about to get a life force. But there were several moments where like Mill was like kind of copping an attitude with Katrina, like looking at her.
Like shoved his ass away.
Well, he grabbed her at the end, like almost like she was a prize. And she literally was like, bitch, don't touch me. I am clearly into Phoenix's dead body more than I am of you.
And you need to back off. Yeah, I like that. Again, another really nice character moment for her where she gets to have agency and autonomy where she's like, bitch, don't touch me. You may have won this match. You did not win me. How dare?
Like your magic boss. Step off.
Yeah, I am your magic boss.
Then the final scene was Matanza like chained up in like a basement and then
a new basement, not the old
one.
cage. Yeah.
Antonio kind of above him, talking down to him and saying, "You're my son." I love the way
he was lit in this. Also, just as like a quick aside,
you're my son. I love you. I made a mistake when I had the God. When I agreed to let the God go in you, I asked for a piece of your soul because you were my son.
Dario exploited you as a god, but always kept you.
The important thing, Dario exploited him because he had the key. That key was like a Horcrux essentially, and had
absolutely
had Matanza's remaining
a piece of his soul. Yeah,
but Antonio was like, that made you weak, and the one thing I cannot abide is weakness. I love my son, but throws the key to him and is like, but break this and become the monster or become a god. And so he does.
He does it immediately too. There's no hesitation. There's no like, and I like too that it felt like, I'm going to destroy this key and I'm going to take this piece away from you. And instead it was like, you destroy this. You take away the god. Yeah, you become this god. You take away the last of your humanity and immediately did it.
It's almost even like that is the most human thing he could do because he wanted to do something for his dad that he loved. And his dad told him to do that. And his last act of humanity was doing what his dad told him to do. Effectively kill himself and become the monster. And then Antonio just says, goodbye, my son. While Matanza is just screaming and becoming
doing the god thing. Yeah. It was a great last scene.
Lucha Underground was wild this week.
Lucha crushes it in all of their last scenes every single week. Even when, like, last week we said, like, not all of these matches were great. There were a couple that we didn't really care about, even if they advanced the storyline. Like, even last week, the last scene was great. And it's like, they totally understand that this storytelling element is what elevates this show. It's what makes it different. It's what makes it a unique product. And every single week they deliver, if nothing else, in their backstage stuff.
But this week was fully good. Top to bottom.
Top to bottom, this whole week was fucking good. That's why we're talking about the whole thing, because the whole thing was a goddamn highlight. Like, it's so good. And they also only do 3 matches. So it's easy to be like, all of this is fucking great. You guys get how this show works. But it's also like, I love that they understand that it's not just the wrestling, and they do a very good job of like, this storyline matters. And so we're going to make sure that everyone understands that it matters. It's not a throwaway. It's not a backstage WWE segment. It's not an Impact segment where sometimes this stuff doesn't matter. Everything matters in Lucha. Every single backstage interaction matters because they have the power of editing. If they left it in, it fucking matters. Yeah. And I love that. And I feel like especially in season 4, they understand that. Like, there is stuff in season 1 and 2 that they were like, we'll get back to this, we'll come back to it. But I feel like 3 and especially 4 now, they get it. They're like, if we're going to make a reference to this in a backstage thing, it has to matter, and we're gonna make it fucking matter. And they've really elevated that stuff, and I'm here for it.
I also like, so far, we don't know because we haven't had a lot of scenes with the moths, but they haven't addressed the fact that Sexy Star's not there and is not coming back at all. And I kind of don't want them to address it. I kind of want them to just be like, I don't know, she's dead.
Oh yeah, she's just gone. It's like when Hernandez took off in season 3, I think.
Who cares?
Was just gone. They never addressed it. ADR gone. Never addressed it.
Well, they addressed ADR a little bit, but yeah.
Well, it was like, you're gone. It wasn't like, hey, we have to like with Angelico, they're taking the time to tell the story about why he's gone. I'm so here for Sexy Star. Just oops, you're gone. Like there is no, oh yeah, you just fucked up, and everyone understands that, and we just don't need to address it. Like, I agree. I hope that they never speak about her again. She's just gone. They treat her as someone who has broken their contract and left.
Yeah.
A Prince Puma almost. Because Prince Puma was like, bye. I'm gone.
Prince Puma got written off the show, but still.
Well, even still then, like, now in season 4, they do not speak about him. He's just gone.
He's
like,
dead, man.
Yeah, he just, well, everyone's dead.
He came back alive. He had to leave the temple.
Yeah. everyone's...
It was you, like, quit match or whatever.
Yes.
Because he died but then came back.
So even then, they could, like, refer to that, and they're just like, nah.
So far, yeah.
We done. You gone.
Let's talk about Raw, baby, and also SmackDown Live in 205.
Yeah. I don't know how to respond to that extended jingle.
All the time.
It's an extended jingle.
We talked about Sasha and Bayley. You wanted to talk about the B team.
The B team was one of my highlights. I love these backstage things that they're doing with the broken team.
And they won.
And
Revival won, and then right after that, B team won. And I was like, literally, what is happening?
Also, Curtis Axel came out with a straight up black eye that they never addressed, which I noticed immediately. But
I did not notice.
Yeah, apparently a lot of people didn't. Yeah, they did the backstage thing, and then Curtis came out and just has a straight up black eye. Like, big ass black eye. Like, who were you training to come back that they fucked your face up? Because if you don't know, that's Axel's whole deal. He is reserved for the low card because he's the person who brings people back. He trains with Triple H, he trains with The Rock, he trains with any superstar who is coming back and needs like a ring rust knockoff, basically. So I like Curtis because he's Mr. Perfect Son. He's clearly been in this business for a long time. He understands how it works and is good enough that everyone's like, you won't hurt people. And so it makes me wonder, like, if that's the role that you play in this company and you're coming back with a black eye, who are you training with? Who is this happening?
Or he just got fucked up at a house show.
I mean, absolutely. That totally could happen. But, like, that's my first thought of, like, something's going on here. What's happening? But, like, I also love the B team. I love watching Bo pretend to be Bray and then getting the shot of Bray being like, I love this. Like, I love Bray. They fucked his character up in so many ways that it's almost irreconcilable at this point. But Bray's not bad. Like, I want better things for him. Bray as a person,
also,
maybe not great, but
well in this role with Matt. Like, again,
yeah,
I am not for Broken Universe in WWE. They don't get it, whatever. But
they're making chicken salad out of chicken shit in a way that, like, Bray has not often been given the chance to do.
That's not what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
I was saying I don't like the Broken Universe in WWE, period. But Bray has, and I don't think it's working, and I don't think they should have the tag titles, but Bray and Matt have a nice rapport together.
No, that's what I mean. Like, you're taking this chicken shit of the Woken Universe and making it into chicken salad of a digestible thing of, like, Bray and Matt work well together.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I mean by that.
It was a weird way to say it, Erin.
Sorry, that's a Stone Cold thing that I picked up. It's
dumb.
I mean, fair. I don't know how else to say, like, they're taking this shit salad and making it into digestible salad.
Just stop referencing it as salad and shit.
How would you say it, though? Like, if you're given a shitty situation, like...
The Woken Universe doesn't work, but Bray and Matt have good chemistry, is how I would say it.
I mean, like a metaphor.
I'm not using a metaphor.
I mean, you would take lemons and make them into lemonade.
We're not using metaphors.
Listen, I majored in literature.
I also like that we finally saw fucking AOP. Yeah, it was a jobber match.
I was shocked, honestly.
It was like an hour of tag teams.
Yeah, they really are like,
we've all been complaining,
shit.
Like,
we
what
forgot.
The fuck's going on with the tag teams, and we mentioned, like, SmackDown is, like, not doing great with it either. But even on SmackDown and Raw, like, invested some time into their tag teams this week.
Mm-hmm. And they need it.
They haven't.
They really fucking needed it.
It was nice to see Mickie James again. I haven't seen her in a minute.
What's up, hot mom?
What's up,
you look great.
So I guess Alexa is bitter because she got kicked off of Total Divas.
Is that what's happening?
No, that's how I'm reading into it. It makes sense for her to be like, I'm the pretty girl. I won I get the things that I want. They're just like on social media all the time and blah, blah, blah. Like, they don't even have a championship. Like, they're on Total Divas, a reality show. I'm a wrestler.
I mean, to be fair, both of the champions are no longer on Total Divas.
Yeah, they both got fired because they were boring as fuck on Total Divas. And also made their in-ring Healy character work. You, like, almost couldn't disassociate it, like, in a way that you can do with other characters. But with them, you were like, you're so aggressively boring on this show that I am not even into you as a wrestler right now because, God, you're just wasting time in my reality show.
Yeah, for sure. And I
don't want to watch you pick out a pig. I'm sorry. It's cute that you have a pig, but how is that interesting reality TV?
If that's the most interesting thing you're doing, that's not good. Like, straight up not good. I hope that with Carmella, because of now her separation from Big Cass, next season she might come back, because we've talked before, like, she'll probably be much more interesting as a person who's not coupled anymore.
Don't want to, too. Maybe they don't want to.
I mean,
I think sometimes when people get kicked off, too, maybe they're like, I don't like being on a reality TV
That's
show.
what Renee said. She was like, I hated being part of this. It was fucking awful. And I'm sure also with a husband like Dean Ambrose, like,
they're too chill to be on reality TV.
And yeah, and John doesn't put up with it in a way that's acceptable for John Cena. Dean Ambrose doesn't give a shit and doesn't do the John Cena thing. Won't, like, be nice but snarky. Is like, I legit don't care.
He jumped over a bush and was like, bye.
I loved that too, because that's the most interesting thing that they did all season. And it was clearly not planned, because all of those people's faces were blurred out and did not agree to be on this TV show. Also, it's shocking that you would walk by a person who has a full-ass camera crew by them and be like, I'm taking your hat.
That's probably why they did it. They were drunk, and that's probably why they did it.
Well, I mean, yes, but also, like, that takes an incredible amount of balls. Can you imagine doing that and then Dean motherfucking Ambrose comes after you? You'd be like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I did not. I was just... Please take your wife's hat back.
So the final match was Dolph versus Seth. We kind of talked about it. It was a really good match.
It was good. And it was, I think, Megan from Hard Times Pod put it best, where she was like, I wish Dolph wasn't such a good wrestler so I could just fully not give a shit. Yep. Like, I totally feel that talented. Same way. He is a very talented wrestler. I also saw a lot of people who were like, I kind of feel this way. I haven't totally personally reached this point yet, but I saw a bunch of people saying, I have reached a point with him where I feel like all he does is oversell. And so I understand too how people are like, nah, I'm even though he's good, I'm done with this because you don't care. And like, yes, I also feel that way in many, many ways. But as a wrestler, I can like deal with his wrestling while also acknowledging, yeah, he's totally doing the Shawn Michaels, I'm pissed that I have to be here oversell, like 100%. I mean,
he's a belt. He shouldn't be pissed. He's the main event.
Yes, but also, like, he still feels like he deserves better. That's, like, the crux of why he's such a piece of shit.
That's their whole character right now, too, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, so Seth almost won, but then Drew fucked it up. But then Roman came out. And everyone has a lot of feelings about Roman, but I know that they've been testing this stuff out on house shows. And, like, I'm down to see Roman versus Drew.
I think it's a good idea.
Really interesting.
Pass Bobby and Bob and Roman. Like,
I know a lot of people like that. He calls him Bob, but I do not.
I think that it works
Bob
better
works for Bobby Roode.
For Rusev calling him Bob, too. I feel like
I think it works for Bobby Roode. I don't think it works for Bobby Lashley.
I literally think the reason that they do it is because it worked for Rusev. They're like, oh, we can make it work for Roman, too. We'll have you call him Bob. Yeah. And so the idea of calling Bobby Lashley Bob works, but I don't think that they're doing it in good faith with Roman, whereas with Rusev, it was like, I'm annoyed and I'm a heel and I can do whatever, LOL, Bob. And with Bobby Roode, it does fit him in a way. And I think it totally could fit Bobby Lashley if someone like Rusev was saying it, but because it's Roman. And
I don't know. I think I just know Bobby Lashley is such a specific character and person that it doesn't work for me.
Also, I think as a heel, it would work for Bobby Lashley. If he's a heel and you're like pushing his buttons and calling him Bob, he can respond in a heel way that works. As a babyface who can do nothing to Roman, who is also a babyface, it doesn't work. It feels like you stole this from Rusev, you're using it disingenuously. Also with the character that Bobby Lashley is playing, Bob is not appropriate. Like, Sammy could have called him Bob. Sammy could have absolutely called him Bob because it would have felt hella disrespectful. Roman doing it, it's supposed to be like, LOL, fun, I'm poking at you, but it's not. It doesn't work for him.
I want to see Roman dethrone Brock, and then I want to see Drew and Roman in a feud for the title.
I could take that. I would, not a huge Roman fan. I like him as a wrestler. I hate the way that his character is written. Kind of the same for Drew. It
works for me.
It's in the same way that, like, you don't like Finn and Finn doesn't work for you. Drew doesn't really work for me in that, like, I get it. He's handsome. He's Scottish. He's a good wrestler.
So
but
not in the same way as I feel about Finn.
Well, sort of.
I'm
where
just teasing it.
Well, like,
I acknowledge he's a good wrestler and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like, you like things about Finn. That's what I mean. There are
not handsome.
Yeah, there are things that you like about him where you're like, I get it. I understand why they're moving in this direction. I feel the same way about Drew. But also, like, why is this, like, I don't like the way that they have him wrestle in WWE. I preferred it in AEW and in Impact, where he was allowed to have a little more freedom. He had more moveset that was available to him.
Yeah, but I think we also haven't seen him a lot on the main roster.
That's true. That's
because
absolutely
he's been
true.
Immediately paired with Dolph because he had a lot more freedom in NXT.
even then in NXT, they still really pared back his wrestling, where it's like, this is WWE style, and you have to learn what WWE style is. And like, I don't know if maybe because I don't have the like Daddy Drew lust for Drew I can see how if you like him and are like in for him, like you are, that you can look past the NXT. Because I even said at the time, I thought that what they were making him wrestle was boring. That he has a limited moveset. That I feel, especially on the main roster, they're doing that to Drew, where it's sort of like they do with Alexa, where it's like, you're a certain type of character, and so that means you have a certain type of moveset. And like, why? Drew's great. Let him fully fucking wrestle. Why isn't he the one doing this line?
I obviously would love him to do more. Yeah, I mean, he should have won that title, but if they're going to move him into a title picture whenever Brock drops that, I would be...
I mean, the only way I find Dolph acceptable as an Intercontinental Champion is if Drew also has the heavyweight title, or the Universal, or whatever the fuck it's called. Like, I feel like that fits together with those characters, but also, like, what's the end game here with, like, Drew? I get it. Drew is a person they're trying to move forward. Why is Dolph necessary in this story? I don't really get it. And, like,
I don't know
he's doing a fine job. Yeah. And as a heel, I think his promos are okay, but, like, you're a piece of trash. And also, like, everyone knows you're tired of being here, and it's very hard to look past that. And if Drew doesn't already have a title, it's hard to look past you as a Intercontinental Champion. Like, it's just very hard to get past that. Until Drew gets to an elevated level, it will feel very bizarre.
Or takes it from Dolph.
Right, exactly. Which I'm totally fine with.
So SmackDown opens with Miz TV. Honestly, I don't know why they let Miz do Miz TV. Like, he needs to protect his moneymaker. Why are his Hollywood lawyers being like, you cannot do this anymore because you get attacked?
Yeah, true.
Protect your body, Miz. It's worth so much money. The Bludgeon Brothers, Dan O'Brien. Nick made a funny joke where he's like, Dan O'Brien looks like he could be the Bludgeon Brothers, like, teenage son. And then I was like, tweeting it. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, honey.
But I guess the big payoff of that is Team Hell No is back.
Fine.
I don't have any affinity towards Team Hell No because that was right before I was watching.
Me too, yeah.
So all I know is past segments or like clips or whatever. I do really like Kane. I'm like a weird Kane mark.
I know I am too.
I like Kane more than I like The Undertaker. So me. Me too.
There's something weird about having jumped in at the, like, we both watched as kids and then jumped back in as adults. Like, there's something about just seeing Kane. We both came back when Kane was part of the Authority.
Yeah, Corporate Kane.
And he's fucking good at that role and really nailed it and got me over on him in a way that I've never experienced with Undertaker, because all I get is, you should already love Undertaker. And I'm like, but I don't.
Watched as a kid, and then we came back right when his like streak was defeated, and and has just been like an old sad man wrestling. So like, we didn't have a crazy amount of nostalgia for him, and we've only had this like really sad past couple of years. Whereas like Kane has been like on fire literally from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Corporate Kane and Concessions Kane and 2 different kinds of Demon Kane. His mask is a little different, and so is his wig, which I appreciate. And
now we get Team Hell No back, so now we get to experience that, and I'm here for it.
I truly hope they take the tag belts.
They have to, right?
I feel like they have to.
They love Daniel Bryan and Kane, and B, like the Bludgeon Brothers blow. Though it was nice to see Luke Harper wrestle a lot solo.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And
now we know that Eric Rowan is not a dickbag, but still.
Right. It just had a really unfortunate character run. Like, okay, you can remain part of this company even if I don't want you to be a tag champion. I'm fine with you being paired with Luke at this point. Like, literally that incident made me okay with Rowan enough to like bring Luke down. I'm like cool with it.
I like that the rumor is that they are using the New Day as a faction, but as a stable of solo wrestlers, and definitely
I love that
like they're doing that because they had Money in the Bank with Coffey, they had that baller ass match with D-Bry and Biggie, and then this week we had Rusev and Xavier, and I really fucking like it because all 3 of them are really good wrestlers, and all 3 of their performances and all 3 of those matches were fire.
Also, they're one of the best tag teams of all time.
And also, like, Rusev gets to win all of a sudden, which is like excellent.
It's excellent, and also like, literally, what else are you going to do with New Day right now? There's no place for them.
They've done everything in the tag division.
Exactly. If you put them back in the tag division, they have to win. There's no, like, they have been established as such a dominant force of tag team.
Reigning tag champs.
Exactly. And
what would you do? Yeah, I think it's 5 times.
4 or 5 times. I can't remember. But like, past becoming another champion, really, what else are you gonna do? Exactly. And I think it's a really smart move on their point to put them like, hi, these guys are also great singles wrestlers, can all of them and can exist
they all
inside of
started
this.
as singles wrestlers.
Exactly. And so you can exist in this world, which seems very appropriate for them. Like, yeah, factions don't just have to be tag teams. Like, they really, truly don't. And going back to Roman, too, they're all singles wrestlers. All of the Shield are all singles wrestlers. They're not tag teams anymore, even though sometimes they do that. But Roman and Seth were tag champs together, and so to have him specifically defending Seth felt a little more appropriate. But also, like, it's sort of the opposite of New Day, where New Day is like, oh, you've done everything you can do as tag teams. Hey, be singles wrestlers. With this, it's kind of the opposite of like, hey, you're all singles wrestlers. Why are you a tag team again?
Yeah.
So it feels a little bizarre, but in that moment this week, it felt appropriate, which was nice. It's like, oh, you're pulling from both of these. Both of these 3-man teams can do these really good things. You can send them into these different places. You should. You as a company, you should be willing to use these people in different ways because there's 150 fucking people on your roster. Like, actually, the number is 112.
We did get to see Ty Dillinger this week. He had
after his sad ass Instagram post.
Yeah. Oh, you get to talk?
They let you talk?
Oh, man.
Oh.
But then all he did was talk. He got to tell James Ellsworth that he was the one.
It was
and
nice.
He should wear the Asuka mask.
It was really nice. I liked that a lot, actually. I feel like they're using James Ellsworth in an appropriate way, which I am fine with.
Yeah. I got really excited that I thought Paige did a really good job in that segment. But I got really excited with Paige making the match with Ellsworth and then Asuka. But then I saw like a bunch of arguments on Twitter about how like this specifically was from our friend Elle.
Yes, I saw this as well.
And New Age Amazon, they were talking about how it's almost better to maybe not have intergender wrestling because this makes it seem like the only male that these women could possibly fight is this like wiener of a person.
Yeah.
This joke of a person. And somebody brought up the point that it was so disappointing when Rusev no-selled Charlotte's chop in the Mixed Match Challenge, which I absolutely agree. Because any other male-female contact in the Mixed Match Challenge, like Red or like Naomi took somebody out or like all this stuff. But then that moment, like, isn't
Charlotte of all people.
Charlotte doing a flare chop to like, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. If somebody slaps you, it hurts. You can have a win. You can wince. But I think that's a really good point. I mean, I'm excited to see Ellsworth and Asuka, and despite my maybe like better judgments, I do really enjoy James Ellsworth. I think he's like a good person. He actually seems like he like hustles really hard and he really wants to be there, and he's like a team player and he does cool. He does his best with everything that they give him.
He was a jobber. Like, being a jobber takes a lot of work. I know, like, it kind of
he still is a jobber. He just talks more.
Well, I mean, like, it seems like being a jobber is like, LOL, why would anyone do this? But like, literally, that's how Carmella's dad made his living. Like, being a jobber is important and it does mean something. And I think it's good that James Ellsworth understands that and like really embraces that role as a jobber in a way that almost no one else does. But I totally agree with you and with Elle that if you set him up as the only person that women can fight, like, why? It seems really silly and it makes these women seem very trivial. Like, oh, you can beat these people that are just a complete jobber to all the other men. Like, that's not good. That's not good storytelling.
In like NXT, like Nikki Cross like got up all up in everybody's shit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Women, it didn't matter. Like,
and
it was never a real full match, but like she still. So they like, and they did the Mixed Match Challenge and they're like kind of creating the space for it. I don't know. I'm really of two minds because I really like James Ellsworth and I like the stuff that he's doing with Carmella, and I think it's really entertaining when he interacts with the female talent because he does a really good job and he's so unlikable and like it does put them over as faces or like whatever, and it's so cathartic when they do beat him up. But on the other hand, I do really see how if that's the only male that they get to fight and they're not really treated as like the women can't fight anybody else except for this like wiener of a person, or it's not real athletic competition because we know they're all going to win unless he cheats. Like, I really get it. I'm really of two minds.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard, for sure.
Jeff Hardy versus Eric Young.
I barely watched this match. I'm not
gonna
lie.
It was not a great match, and there were a couple, like, missed spots, and I was like, you two have wrestled before.
I know.
I don't know.
I like that. I think it was Tom Phillips, I'm pretty sure, was like, this is a first in WWE match. Like, Oh, I would not even have thought.
Erica
you
messed
wrestled
up like
in Impact.
a twist of fate or something, and I was like, y'all have wrestled before. I do not understand.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. It was a strange match, and I was like, I'm not interested.
Well,
I like
then it
both
broke
of these
down
people.
because the
Also,
Usos-
we didn't mention, too, the reason that happened is because Shinsuke Nakamura, IRL, got bitten by a police dog.
So they had to scramble. So
All cops are bad, even the dogs. I'm not even, fuck off. Like, that's bananas.
We were gonna do Jeff and Nakamura, and then probably
It's gonna be like a whole feud.
Usos Insanity, but they had to pull Nakamura from the show because he got bit by a dog. So then they kind of mushed it together. But it did work because you had Jeff and EY going at it, and then Usos couldn't help themselves. They had to get involved because they were pissed at Sanity. And then turned on 3-3.
It worked.
It worked. I popped really hard for that Glow segment. I'm such a nerd. I was like, I love Naomi. I'm really coming around on Lana. I like Glow. I do want to know where Awesome Kong is. Yes, I know her name is Karma in WWE. If you come for me, I'll kill you because Awesome Kong is a better name than Karma.
It totally is. Although there was that time AJ Lee was like, Karma's gonna come for you, bitch. And everyone was like, are you talking about actual Karma? We really need to know. And she was like, no, I literally just meant Karma. I'm sorry.
And you're like, no, Karma with an H. Becky submitted Sonya in a match.
It was nice. I thought Sonya's been doing a really good job lately.
I thought that was
really
a good match. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was like a good middle of the show women's match. I do want to talk about how ridiculous Mandy's extensions are.
They're bad.
They might be the worst extensions I've ever seen. They're so long that it's so apparent how fake they are, and she just plays with them the whole time. And it's like, so I get that your whole thing is Golden Goddess. You're beautiful, whatever. That's fine. You are beautiful. You are also talented, whatever. Those extensions are horrendous.
They're like... I agree. I think they might be the worst I've ever seen.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about how Foxy's back too.
She's my appreciate bait this week. We can talk about
it. Speaking of hair,
we are. I think the thing with Mandy too is like Charlotte used to have really questionable extensions. They used to be long and terrible, and it was that same kind of thing. But with Mandy, it's like we're supposed to pretend these are real for real. At least with Charlotte, it was like. Everyone's in on the gig here. Everyone understands that everybody has to wear long ideas.
You're supposed to pretend that they're real.
But she's so obvious about it that it's like, how? At least Charlotte was never like, hey, here, let me flick these extensions toward the camera. With Mandy, she's like, what's up, everybody? I got extensions.
They're bad.
You need to get it together, girl. You hot as hell. You don't need that. Come on.
Becky's winning though, so that's she's losing and losing. Now she's on a mini winning streak, so let's keep it up.
Thank God.
205 Live. You wanted to talk about 205 Live this week.
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it, even though it was like I didn't feel like there was a bunch of super consequential stuff. My personal Drew Boo was on it.
Leo Rush debuted. That's consequential.
How do you feel about his character on 205 Live?
I feel like that he wishes he was EC3.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely. There's something about his character that I'm like really disconnecting from.
I liked it in ROH because it was like, I'm young and I'm here to make a name for myself, and I got like gumption, and like this one's like, oh, look at my bracelets that I can't get off.
I was like legit mad about it. It was very weird to be like, why didn't we plan for this? Why didn't you try to take your bracelets off before? Like, it fits in his character. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm slow.
Yeah, but it went from I don't give a fuck to like a panic with a smile on his face.
Like, I legit can't take this bracelet up. I don't understand why Mike Chioda wasn't like, just wrestle with your fucking bracelet on. Like, for real. It was weird that they like made a show of, you also have to take this bracelet off.
Because it was supposed to be like a Naito thing, I think, but it just didn't work because he couldn't get it off.
Well, that's what I mean, is I feel like Mike Chioda's experienced enough as a wrestler and has been there long enough that I feel like in that moment he should have been like, just wrestle with your bracelet on. Like, he should not have called him out about it. He should have just let him wrestle with it on.
Yeah.
Like, because that also could have become a thing with commentary. Like, oh, he's such a piece of shit. He still wrestles with this gold and doesn't even take all of it off. Like, they would have made it work. But that Mike Chioda was like, nah, you have to take this bracelet off.
Maybe he had somebody in his ear saying something.
I agree. It absolutely could have been. It's just amazing to me that no one in the back was like, oh my God, let him go. Just let him wrestle with this fucking thing on.
Cedric and Hideo are going to wrestle. So that was the big thing.
So excited.
Tozawa and Tony wrestled. It was a good match. Tony lost. I don't know. I think they're trying to like bury his character to have him have like a phoenix rise. That's what it feels like because he keeps losing after having really good matches. And frankly, there was no reason for him to lose to Tozawa. So,
well, I think the reason they want him to lose to Tozawa is because they want former champion Tozawa to still look strong so that
but he also lost to Mustafa Ali last week. Like, he...
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, people who are in the title picture should be above Tozawa, and Tozawa should be above people who are not in the title picture.
Right, but it seems like they're focusing on Tony Nese as, like, a character, and then they're having him lose a bunch, so it seems like they're...
It's purposeful?
It's
okay,
purposeful.
I see what you're saying. Yes, I would agree with that.
Because, like, storyline and anything-wise, there's really no reason for
Why did Drew separate from him? Like, yeah.
Well, for them to be focusing on Tozawa and then having... For them to be focusing on Tony and then having Tozawa win, like, there's no reason for that unless it's purposeful.
Yeah.
And the main event was a 3-on-3 elimination match with Brian Kendrick, Jack Gallagher, Drew Gulak, and then the Lucha House Party. This was a good match, but nobody could keep their fucking mask on. It was like...
It was bananas.
Both two masks fell off on, like, accident, because...
I think it was supposed to be on purpose. One of them was supposed to be on purpose.
Drew pulled at the mask, and he was supposed to be reprimanded for it. And I think when Lindsay's mask completely came off outside the ring, that was not supposed to happen. Because
neither of them happened outside of the ring. Both of them were in the ring when it happened.
Rolled out of the ring to put the mask
I
back
see what
on,
you're saying. Okay,
and
yes.
Camera panned away from it, and Kalisto went over to help.
Yeah.
And then Drew was, like, showboating in the ring, like, I'm filling time.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm filling time. And then Kalisto's mask came off in the Dragon Sleeper, because he was, like, pulling so hard, and then he just, like, ripped Kalisto's mask on. He had to immediately flip over and cover his head.
He broke Lince Dorado's mask. That was the problem, is that his chin strap, which keeps his mask on, completely broke away, and he just kept trying to... I like, too, that commentary addressed it, that they were like, Lince now has to think about this whole match of protecting his identity and has to be very careful about it. Like, that was a nice moment as commentary to be like, we can fix this. It was just, like, a little distracting. Oh, it was totally distracting, but I feel like if commentary hadn't addressed it at all, it would have been way more distracting. Of like, I'm so focused on the fact that this guy's trying to keep his mask on. Also, it was a little like inside baseball. It was interesting to watch how someone reacts when their mask is ripped off. Like, we don't,
when you're not expecting it.
Yeah, we don't generally get to see a lot of mask removals. Full stop. Like, we get to see rips. We get to see like, oh shit, their face. Like when Mil Muerta's mask was like ripped for real, and it was like, oh my god, it's basically your fucking face. We can see that you have hair for the first time. Like, it felt very shocking. But the idea of like a mask completely coming off is like, it's so synchronistic in so many ways that it's shocking in a way that scripted WWE television is not, in many ways. That it was bizarre and it felt weird and it was like, oh my god, I can't believe this actually fucking happened. But it worked in a way. It worked in Drew's character that he was showboating. It worked in this way of like, I can't believe this fucking happened. Like, and again, it's like a mark, and as like an inside baseball person, it was very interesting to watch how fucking quickly both of them were like, oh my god, my face. Like, I've never seen someone cover their face like that. It was clearly this was not supposed to happen moment.
Twice.
Yeah.
But the end of the match, Drew won, so Drew like beat all of everybody in Lucha House Party and like took Penelope and like was like, this is a joke, and threw Penelope. So R.I.P. Penelope.
Or Penelope. It was good though. I really enjoyed it, and as a storytelling element, I thought it was very important.
Yeah, I agree.
It's nice that 205 Live still understands that shit's important.
The end.
The end. We did it.
Who's your appreciate this week?
My appreciate. I had one earlier.
You said it was Foxy.
It is Foxy.
Why? Because she got her hair together?
Listen, first of all, Foxy's back, and I'm super excited. She hasn't been around in many months. It's been a long time.
Yeah, she broke her tailbone in January.
And then for the Royal Rumble was kicked out because she got into a fight with Ronda's husband.
Oh, she broke her tailbone before that and got pulled out of the Mixed Match Challenge, and then got...
She was pulled out of the Rumble and then subsequently pulled out of the...
timeline. Hard.
Yeah. So Fox gets pulled out of this. She comes back in this, like, hi, I'm back! Basically, backstage segment. She got shown on screen, and literally, I, like, word vomited out of my mouth. Oh my god, what a cute little wig! And Devin was like, first of all, maybe don't point out that a black woman is wearing a wig and doesn't have real hair, but also, like, you're right, that wig is real cute. And, like, as a woman who wears many bad wigs many, many times, like, this is a real cute wig for Alicia, so she's my appreciate. She looks great, I'm glad she's back. What a cute little wig. I'm very happy for her.
I mean, my appreciate's gotta be BAYLEY.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Joe Coffey.
No, we just talked about his meaty thighs.
Okay, I mean, that's appreciable.
No, it's gotta be Bayley.
Okay.
Bayley showed up, did the work. She like full heel.
Were you like turned on by how she did the thing?
I mean, we talk about how gray her ass is all the time.
Okay,
so.
that's fair. All right. I just gotta make sure it fits
Bayley.
in the appreciate category.
I'm sorry, I coined the word. It can be whatever I feel.
Well, you asked me last week how I meant about it, and I said it was both people that I found attractive and also was like, ooh, your performance. Girl, I'm into it. I appreciate.
Bayley has a great butt, and she did a great job.
Fantastic. I completely agree.
You can find us on the internet. I'm at Stella_Cheeks.
I'm at EarnGenC. Don't send me messages about Ronda. I will block you. Pay me if you want to do that.
You can find us at Not Your Demo Pod on Twitter, and you should also follow Kate Side Seats on Twitter.
Yes, you can send us an email at
Not
about Ronda. I will block you and mark it as spam. Other than that, you can send us an email at notyourdemo@gmail.com.
You can find us on iTunes, where you should rate, review, and subscribe. And I don't know. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to see how many people you blocked.
I don't even know. I block so many people a day as urgency. I literally can't even keep track of it.
That's so insane to me.
Oh.
I like barely have anyone blocked.
Oh my God. I have like 30,000 people blocked. Like a lot. A fucking
you didn't
lot.
block anybody on Not Your Demo Pod.
Didn't I? Maybe I just blocked him as urgency. That's definitely possible.
We have one muted account. I didn't mute this person.
It was probably me.
Whatever.
I have no control. I'm like, you're an asshole? Mute, block, I'm dead.
Insane. That's it. The end.
The
Two
end.
words.
Rima. Wow, 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 wow.
Erin got tipsy and I got tired, is what happened.
I mean, it's the opposite of what happened last week.
You can always tell when Erin's tipsy because she talks a lot.
And I'm loud.
And I'm like, That's
what happened last week. You got tipsy and I was like, yes, Stella, exactly.
No, yeah, it's a give and take. It's an ebb and flow.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a criticism.
I'm sad about the Supreme Court, okay?
Remote. Stop hitting the table. If you can't sit that close to it, move the microphone away from the table towards you.
How's that?
Much better. You idiot.
Listen, I'm excited about wrestling.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax and $10 activation fee. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on a T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.